Alright, here we go. Excellent connection. Look at that. Excellent connection. My God. Okay. It's time. It's time. The scariest stream I've ever had. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
No matter the weather.
Oh God.
Something walks down our street, whistling
Oh
softly.
God.
You can only hear it if you're in the living room or the kitchen when they walk by.
This is too much. Which one am I not dead in? I think it's this one.
The sound is faint at first.
Oh.
Somewhere near the beginning of the lane, near the Carson place.
Mm.
We're towards the middle of the street, so the whistling moves past us before fading away in the direction of the cul-de-sac. When I was younger, my sister and I would sneak into the kitchen some nights to listen. Mom and Dad didn't like that, and we'd catch hell if they found us out there, but they were never too hard on us, since we always stuck to the one big rule.
What's the
Don't
one?
try to look at whatever was whistling.
What? Oh,
My neighborhood
fuck.
is a funny
I'm dead.
place. I've lived here since I was 6, and I love it. The houses are small,
It's this
but
one.
well kept, good-sized yards, and plenty of places to roam. There are a lot of other kids here my age. I turned
The
13
Whistling
back in
Man.
October. We grew up together, and would always play foursquare in the cul-de-sac, or roam around from back porch to back porch in the summer. This was a good place to grow up. I'm old enough to see it. And there's only two strange things here. The night whistling and the good luck. The whistling never bothered me much. Like I said, I couldn't even hear it from my bedroom, but Mom and Dad don't like talking about it, so I stopped asking questions.
The
My
whistling.
dad is a strong guy, tall
God.
and calm. He has an
Oh my
accent
God,
since
that's
he
like
moved
me.
to the U.S. as a kid.
That's just like
His
me.
family, my grandparents, they're from the islands. That's what they call it. My dad, the only time he isn't calm is if the whistler comes
Why?
up.
What is wrong
He
with
talks a
my
little quicker then. Eyes
my
move faster,
Minecraft?
and
Why
tells
is
us
it?
not to think about it
God.
too much and to always remember the one rule.
Stop Minecraft. Stop. Listen, we're gonna have to.
Don't try to look outside when the whistler goes past. Not that we could look even if we wanted. See, there are
Whatever.
shutters on the inside of every window.
Listen, we have to fix Minecraft.
Pieces of heavy canvas that pull down from the top and
Easy
latch to the
fix.
bottom of the window frame.
Delete.
Each latch even has a small
Goodbye,
lock
Minecraft.
the size of what you'd find on a diary. My dad locks those shutters every night before we all go to bed.
We're turning
He
you
keeps
up.
the key in his room. My mom, I don't know what she thinks about the whistling. I've seen her
Oh,
out in the
God.
living room before after 3:03. When the sound starts, I could see her if I cracked my door open just an inch to peek. She's not out there often. At least I haven't caught her much.
Oh,
But once or
God.
twice a month, I think she sits out there on the big red couch just listening. The whistler has the same tune every night.
Oh God. That's too scary. I can't listen to that. That's way too scary. I just can't. I can't. Put me in Minecraft, hurry. Oh,
Remember how I said there are two odd things?
Minecraft
about where I
isn't
live?
responding. Oh God, yeah, I'm getting cursed.
Besides our night whistler,
I'm being
everyone
cursed.
in my neighborhood is really lucky. It's hard to explain, and Dad doesn't like us talking about this part much either. But good things just seem to happen to the people around here a lot. Usually it's small things, winning a radio contest or getting an unexpected promotion at work or finding some arrowheads buried in the yard. You know, the authentic kind. The weather is pretty good, and there's no crime. Everybody's gardens bloom extra bright.
Thank God for the
Million
whistler.
little blessings I've heard Mom say about living here.
Which one
The
is
main
it?
reason we stay here, why we moved back here
It's
in the
this
first
one.
place, is my
There we
sister
go.
Nola. She was born very sick, something with her lungs. We couldn't even bring her home when she was born, only visit her in the hospital.
That's horrible.
She was so small, I remember.
I'm
Small
glad that
even
I have
compared
big
to the other
lungs.
babies.
Oh,
A machine had to breathe for her.
oh.
We moved into our house here to be closer to the hospital. As soon as we moved here, Nola started getting better. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They chalked it up to whatever they were doing, but we all could tell they were confused.
Oh.
But my parents knew. Even I knew. Nola getting better was just another of the million little blessings we got for living in our neighborhood. So that's why we stayed, even after we found out that for every small miracle that happens here every day,
Oh.
now and then, some bad things happen.
Oh.
But they only happen if you look for the Whistler.
The Whistler,
See,
dear
our neighborhood
God.
has a welcoming committee. They show up with macaroni casserole and a gift basket and a manila folder whenever someone new moves in. And they're very friendly. 4 people showed up when we moved in 7 years ago. The committee made small talk, gave me a Snickers bar, and took turns holding Nola. It was her first week
That's
out of
far
high
too
school,
scary.
so they were extra careful. Then the committee asked to speak to my parents in private, so I was sent to my room, where I still managed to hear nearly every word. The welcoming committee told my parents about how nice the neighborhood was. Really exceptionally hard to explain kind of nice. And then they told my parents about the even harder to explain whistling that happened every morning at 3:03 and ended at the tick of 3:05.
How do
The
you
group,
make the
our
trap
new
door?
neighbors, warned my parents that the whistling was quiet.
Is that a trap
Would
door?
never harm or hurt us as long
Yes.
as we didn't look for what was making the sound.
Oh God.
This part they stressed, and I pushed my ear into the door, straining to hear them. People who went looking for the Whistler had their luck change.
Oh no.
Sometimes tragically. A black cloud would hang over anyone that looked. Anything that could go wrong would. The manila envelope the committee brought over contained newspaper clippings, stories about car crashes and ruined lives, public deaths and freak accidents. Not everyone dies, I heard the head of the committee tell my dad, but the life goes out of them. Even if they live, there's no light in them ever again. No presence. My mom, I could tell she wasn't taking it seriously. She kept asking if this was some kind of prank they play on new neighbors. At one point, my mom got angry, accused the committee of trying to scare us out of our new home, asked them if they were racist on the account of my dad being from the islands. My dad calmed her down, told her he could tell our new neighbors were sincere and that they were just trying to help us. He explained that he grew up hearing these kinds of stories from his mom, and that he knew there were strange things that walked among us. Some of these strange things were good, and some were bad, but most were just different. After the committee left, my dad went out to the hardware store, bought the canvas blinds, the latches, and the locks, and installed them on every window in the house after dinner. That first night in our new house,
I don't
crept
trust.
out of
I
my
don't
room
trust
at
like
3
that.
a.m., only
Oh
to find my
no!
dad awake, sitting
3
there
a.m. That's when the
watching
Whistler comes out. It comes out at 3:03.
My
Don't,
dad held
please
up his finger
don't.
in a shush motion, but patted the
Oh
couch next to me.
God.
I sat and we waited. At
Oh
exactly
God.
3:03,
No,
we
no,
heard the
no.
whistling.
No, 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 no. Oh
It
God.
came
I'm
and it
scared. I'm
went, just
scared,
like our
guys.
neighbor
Thank God my
said.
door is closed. I'm scared. I'm too scared for this. I'm not even looking at chat right now. I can't.
The whistling returns
Please
each
stop.
night, and we never look. We enjoy our million little blessings every day. Nola breathes on her own, and she grows into a strong, clever girl. My dad even joined the welcoming committee. We don't get new neighbors often. Why would anyone want to leave?
That was
But when a
scary.
new
Did you guys see
family
that?
moves in, my dad and the committee bring them macaroni casserole, the gift basket, and the manila folder. I can always tell by the look on my dad's face when he comes back if the family took the committee seriously or if we'd be getting new neighbors again very soon. Not long ago, the family moved in directly next to us. The previous owner, Miss Maddie, passed away at the age of 105.
We gotta go get wood.
She lived a good, long life. Our neighbors seemed like they'd fit in just fine. They believed the welcoming committee and took my dad's advice about the locking shutters since they had a young child of their own. Whatever newspaper clippings were in the
Creeper!
little envelope, whatever evidence, my dad never let us see. But I imagine it must have been awfully convincing since our neighbors got along with no issue for the first month.
Come on, quit it. Leave me
When our
alone.
new neighbors had to leave town,
Freak.
they sent their son, Holden, to stay with us.
Holden
He was 12,
Caulfield. Oh my
a year
God.
under me in school. I didn't know him well before that night, but as soon as his parents dropped him off after dinner, I could tell it was going to be a bad time. Do you know who's always out there whistling every night? Holden asked me the moment the adults left the room. The 3 of us were sitting in the den, some Disney movie playing.
Don't ask about the Whistler.
My
This
sister and I
kid,
exchanged
he doesn't
glances.
know. He doesn't know the
We won't
rules.
talk about it,
Yeah, don't
I
talk
said.
about the Whistler.
I think it's that weirdo that lives in the big yellow house in the corner,
No.
Holden said.
Now he's calling them names.
My sister asked.
No way. He's really nice.
Holden shrugged. Must be a psycho killer then. Nola tensed.
Oh, dude, he needs to stop playing with the whistler, man.
Let's go in my room and play Nintendo.
Woo.
We spent the next few hours playing
Come on,
games,
son.
even playing, and then watching a movie. The total sleepover, but I could see Holden was getting angry. After my parents
That was
had wished
close.
us good night, locked the blinds, and gone to bed, Holden stood up from his beanbag.
Oh,
and
that's
walked over to where
terrified me.
Nola and I were sitting on my bed.
Oh,
Have you
dear
ever even
Lord.
tried looking? He asked.
Oh, no.
It's nearly time.
This kid's a bad
Sleepovers,
influence.
We'd conveniently ignored any suggestion of a bedtime. I was shocked to see he was
Ooh.
right. It was almost 3 a.m.
Oh, no, no, no.
We don't.
Holden's gonna die.
I can't even try to look because my dad locks the blinds every night and hides the key.
Yeah,
He continued ignoring me.
a smart dad.
Nola said. No, replied Holden. No, he doesn't. You saw him do it, I said, a little sharper than I meant to sound. Holden grinned. Your dad locks the blinds, yeah, but he doesn't hide the key. He
Uh-oh.
keeps it right on his keychain.
Uh-oh.
I asked, worried I already knew what he would say next. Because
They
I had
can't,
noticed that my dad
they
didn't bother
can't.
hiding the key anymore after all these years, because he knew we took it seriously.
No,
So,
stop.
after my dad locked up,
This
and
is
my
bad.
parents went to bed.
This is bad. I need to start looking at chat, bro. I'm too
and
scared.
on the way, I may
Hi,
have peeked
Aiden.
into their room,
Sorry.
and I
Sorry.
may have seen your dad's keychain on his nightstand.
Okay, we're gonna go out.
I maybe went and borrowed the key to the blinds.
No
Nola stared,
way.
And his grin only grew wider. You're lying, I said. Holden shrugged. You can check if you want. Just open your parents' door and look. You'll see his keychain right there on the nightstand. Stay here, I told both of them. Don't move a muscle. I hurried over to my parents' room, but hesitated at the door. If Holden wasn't lying, my dad would be angry.
We gotta find
Beyond
some ores.
angry. I was scared.
We need
thinking about it,
ores.
but more scared of an open window with the whistler right outside.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
opened the door.
The whistler,
Barely an
no.
inch. I looked in. It was too dark to see. Taking a deep
Let's do
breath,
that.
I walked into the room. 2 steps into the dark, and I froze. The whistling started, and I could hear it
No,
clearly
no, no,
from
no,
my
no.
parents' room.
No,
Never
no,
realized,
no.
but they must have heard the sound every night since we moved into the house. They never told us. I don't think I could have slept through it. I stood there, listening to the whistling come closer.
No,
unsure
that's too
whether I should turn
scary.
on the lights or call out for my dad.
I can't.
Soft sounds from
I
the living room brought me
can't.
back to reality. Nola! I yelled, running out of my parents'
Wait,
room.
what?
Holden and Nola were standing near the front door next to the window. Holden
No.
wasn't lying. I could see him fumbling with the lock on one of the blinds. I heard a click. He did have the key. Holden let out a quick laugh.
Oh,
Nola stood next to
no,
him,
no.
hunched
I'm
up,
too
afraid,
scared.
but maybe curious.
There's nothing.
The whistling was right outside of our house now.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
think I made a sound, called out.
Oh,
I can't remember.
God.
Time felt frozen. The clock hands nailed to
Oh,
the face.
God.
But I found myself moving. I'm not fast. I've never been athletic. Somehow, though, I covered the space between myself and Nola in a moment. My eyes were locked on her. but
Thank
I heard Holden
God.
pull the blind all the way down so it could release.
He's
I heard the
dead.
snap of it start to raise. and I
Oh,
heard the whistling
God.
just on the other side of the window, but I had my arms around
The
Nola.
iron?
And I turned so she was
Yes.
facing away from the window. At the same time, I jammed my eyes shut, and the blinds
Oh,
ripped open.
no.
The whistling stopped. I
Oh,
felt Nola shaking in my
God.
arms.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Don't look, okay? I told her.
Don't
turn
look.
around."
Don't
We
look.
were positioned so that she was facing back towards the hallway, and I was facing the window. My eyes were still closed, and I felt her nod into my shoulder. I reached out with the arm not holding Nola to try to touch Holden. My hand brushed
He's
against
gone.
his arm.
He's gone.
He was shaking worse than Nola.
Oh, no. He's still
Holden?
dead.
I asked. Silence. I reached past him and gingerly felt for the window, eyes still sealed shut. The glass was cold against my fingertips.
Oh, what was
colder
that?
than it should have been for the time of the year.
What was that?
I moved my hand up the window, searching for the
Oh,
string to the blind.
God.
The glass began to get warmer, and
Oh,
the further I reached, there was a
what?
gentle hum feeding back into my fingertips.
What?
I tried not to think about what might be on the other side of the window. Finally, I touched the string and yanked the
Oh,
blind shut.
God.
I opened my eyes.
No.
The dim light leaking out from the kitchen, I could make out Holden.
Oh,
Pale and
God.
small, staring at the now closed window. Holden?
Oh, God.
I asked again.
Oh,
He
God.
turned towards
They
me.
turned her into a pumpkin.
Everything became a flurry of emotion. Lights sparked to life in the hallway, then the living room. My parents' footsteps thudded across the hardwood floor.
Oh
I didn't
God.
turn to look back at them. My eyes were glued to Holden. He was pale, had bit his lips so hard that there was a thin red line of
Oh.
blood running down his chin, and he'd
Oh
wet himself.
God.
What happened? My dad
Holden
asked
wet
from behind
himself.
me. I managed to swivel away from Holden and look back. He looked. I'd never seen my dad scared before,
Oh
but I saw
jeez.
it that night, in that moment. An old, ugly tear stitched on his face. A parent's fear. Just Holden? He mouthed to me. I nodded yes. My dad let out a sigh. He looked so relieved. I
Thank
really
God it
expected him
ain't
to
his
cheer.
kids.
But then he turned to Holden, and my dad's face changed.
Oh
I wondered if he
no.
felt bad for feeling good that Holden was the only one that looked.
No,
There was a
no,
knock at the
no.
door. We all froze. Holden whimpered.
Don't answer it.
My mom said. She stood at the threshold of the hall.
You don't want to
I
make
always
him
thought she
angry
was a
though.
skeptic and just humored my dad about the window and the whistler, but that night we were all believers.
That night
I
everyone
noticed
believed in
that
the
both my
whistler.
parents held baseball bats they must have taken from their bedroom. The knock came again, a little louder this time.
Oh God.
Please don't open the door. Holden whispered. My dad walked over to him and hugged him close. We won't. My dad promised, still holding his bat. Nothing is coming in here tonight. This time the knocking was loud enough to rattle the door. Holden screamed again, and
Oh,
clutched her
no.
arms around my neck. My mom came over and knelt down next to us, wrapping my sister and me close.
They have to give him as a sacrifice.
My mom whispered to my dad. The knocking instantly stopped. My dad looked over his shoulder at us. Do you think he was cut
Oh,
off by
oh,
frantic knocking,
jeez,
but trailed
oh,
off if you were
jeez.
polite?
Oh yeah, that's a
Someone
smart
said from the
idea.
other side of the door. The voice from outside sounded exactly like my mom, like a parrot repeating the
Wait.
words back to her.
No
My
way.
mom pulled us closer.
I'm too scared in this cave. This cave is not.
I heard her whisper to herself, I don't think calling them will help. My dad said, how will we know when they're the ones at the door? The knocking came back.
Oh
harder than
Jesus,
before.
I'm
The door
scared. I'm
shook, then it
scared.
stopped.
These sound effects are
After a
too
long moment,
scary.
I heard the knocking again, but it was coming from our back door. We all turned around
Oh,
towards the back door,
no.
but the knocking immediately returned to the front door.
Oh
Front to back,
Jesus.
back to front.
This is
Loud
too
then
scary.
quiet, then
This is too
loud again.
scary, guys. I'm
Suddenly, the
scared.
sound was coming from both doors at once. Big, heavy
Oh
blows like a
no.
sledgehammer. Then something
This is
started
what
crashing
happens
against
when
all
you
the
mess
windows
with
in house, then the walls.
the whistling
It was like we
man.
were living inside a drum with a dozen people trying to play it at once, or we were a turtle and something was attempting to claw us out of a shell. Stop! Holden yelled. The knocking died.
Oh.
I won't tell. Holden said, staring at the door. I
What?
promise I won't tell anyone what I saw. Just please go away.
Oh
I
no.
waited for nearly a minute.
You're a
Then we
fool.
heard it. A soft tap coming from the
Oh,
window
you're a
someone had locked
fool.
the
You're a
room.
fool.
Holden started to cry. sobbing
Oh,
like a
you're a
prisoner watching
fool,
gallows being
Holden.
built outside their cell. My dad held him, brushing his hair, but never lied to him. Never told him things would be okay.
Good.
The
That's a
tapping
good
at the window
father.
went on for the rest of the night. We huddled together in the living room for I don't know how long. Eventually, my mom tried to take us kids into my room while my dad stayed to watch the door. But the second we moved into my bedroom, the knocking came back so loud it was
Oh,
impossible to ignore.
jeez.
I was afraid the door couldn't take it. We went back into the living room and the knocking stopped. Only the tap on the window remained.
Oh man, I'm
None of
like
us
crawling
slept
in
that
my
night.
skin. This is too
Stopped at around
scary.
7 a.m.
This is
I stopped
too
the time the sun
scary.
comes up. We waited for another 2 hours before my dad opened the blinds from one window. He made us all go back to my parents' bedroom. I heard him open the door and then come back in. Okay,
Jeez.
he told us. It's done. Holden's parents came back around lunchtime. My
Hol-
mom and dad
Holden
brought
is
Holden
sti-
over to his
Holden
house, and we
is
all went
lived
inside for quite a while.
For too long.
Nolan
The
and I watched
whispering.
from the window. She stuck to me the whole day, right at my side,
He's dead.
sometimes holding my hand. When my parents came back, they looked grim, but wouldn't tell us what they said to Holden's family.
Oh god.
It was a Sunday, so we all spent the day together, ordered pizza, and watched movies. That night, everyone slept in my room. Nolan, my mom, in the bed with me, my dad in the chair he'd pulled over. There was no knocking that night, or any night since. We didn't see much of Holden or his parents for the rest of that week, but by Tuesday, there was a moving truck in their driveway. Nola and I watched them packing up the whole afternoon after school. What sticks with me most is how
Oh.
tired Holden and his parents looked. All
Oh,
three had the
jeez.
same pallor, grim mouths, and lightless eyes. Even from across the street, I could tell something was very wrong. Holden and his family were gone before sunset. I remember what the original
Oh, yeah,
book
you're gonna
indicator
have to
said my
leave.
parents when we moved in. Not everyone who looks at the Whistler dies, but even those that live have the
Oh.
light go out of them, and the rest of their lives are full of misfortune.
I forgot he said
A
that.
million little tragedies. I think Holden's parents must have looked, either to comfort him if they didn't believe, or share the burden if they did. I watched
Oh, the
Noah's
sun is
sunrise,
gonna set
happy
soon.
and young and alive, and I wonder if I'd been slower, if she'd looked out the window that night. Would I have looked too, to comfort her, to share that burden? I'm glad I don't have to find out. It's been 2 months since the night Holden stayed here. We still live in that house, in that neighborhood.
Oh, stop.
We
No,
still
quit
hear
it.
our Whistler walking past every night. The blessings, the luck, the good things here are too good to leave, but we're careful. We don't have friends over to spend the night anymore, and my dad hides the key to the blinds very, very well. Not that I've gone looking. Some things you just don't need to look for.
Oh, that was that poor Holden. Oh, stop! It's over. It's done. That Holden guy tried to warn that cracker. Foolish boy. Ow! How do I get up? Okay. Alright, what's the next one?
The Mandela effect. That phrase never meant anything to me. Spooky, I guess, but it wasn't something I thought about for more than 5 minutes. I mean, honestly, until college, I didn't even know what it was. I'm not one for conspiracy theories or ghost stories or anything like that, so what would you expect?
Whoa.
I wish I was still so ignorant. It all began in my life
Oh!
science class. I was 20 at the time, and it was pretty close to the end of the fall semester at FSU. My professor, Dr. Arnold, had given us our finals early because she had a heart
Oh!
and didn't want us to be studying for everything at once. She figured doing our finals before everybody else's gave us time to study hers without any distraction, and then gave us time to study everybody else's with a little less stress. I loved her for that, but part of me wishes she had never decided to bless us that way. On the last day of class, most people skipped. Everybody knew we weren't really doing anything, and everybody just wanted to be done for the semester. Still, some of us were bound by the attendance policies on our scholarships, and others, just out of courtesy to Dr. Arnold, showed up. I, personally, was present because I loved her class. 1 more hour and 15 minutes of her teaching was a win for me, and hell, I had nothing better to do. She began the class slightly differently than she usually did. We'd often start out with a current event from earlier in the week, something about GMOs, the dramatically declining population of giraffes, or something else relating to life science. But today, we looked at an older article, and something far from relative to biology.
Alright.
It was about the Mandela effect. I'd never heard of it before. Most of us hadn't, but she was passionate
I'm getting
about it.
nervous.
The old lady was
I'm
usually
getting
pretty
nervous.
sprightly while teaching, choleric when somebody disagreed with her, but man, today, she was ecstatic.
All right. To those of you considerate enough to show up to my class today, I have a treat for you. I'm going to teach you all about something that you'll probably never forget. Or maybe you'll blow it off, I don't know. But if this intrigues you like it did me, I'm sure you'll be happy you arrived.
Oh.
Can somebody tell me when Nelson Mandela died?
Everybody looked around confusingly. Then a girl raised her hand.
He died a couple years ago.
He's still alive.
2012, I think.
She slowly nodded, studying the class like she was waiting for something.
Mm-mm.
And she found that something.
Seagrave.
She pointed at a boy in the class.
Why the confused face?
I thought he died a while ago. The 90s or something? In prison? She beamed with delight.
Well, class, is Amanda right? Or Cole?
Everybody seemed conflicted. Most of us were like me, and honestly had no clue, but a couple people agreed with Cole, and one other person agreed with Amanda.
Amanda,
Dr. Arnott commented.
you're closer to correct. He died from a respiratory tract infection on December 5th,
That's false.
2015. But why did some of you
That's
think
a
he
trick
died
answer.
in prison in the early 90s then? Some of you thought that. Badar,
She motioned at one of the guys to explain.
where'd you come to that conclusion?
I swear we learned that in like 7th grade. In my world history class. It was part of Black History Month.
Yeah, same here.
One of the girls nodded.
Black History Month when I was a kid. He died, and then there was this thing about his wife trying to sue some company.
Exemplary.
Dr. Arnott was more complacent than I'd ever seen her.
Yes.
You remember all this being said. Except, strangely enough, it never was. None of this was ever said. Look it up. Go to Google and search Nelson Mandela death. You'll find nothing
He's
about the 90s or
alive.
prison. For that matter, type in Nelson Mandela prison death. You won't find a CNN article or a documentary about his funeral, which was televised all over the globe. You won't find his purported cause of death, and you'll find nothing about the riots in South African cities afterward. Because none of it happened.
This left me a little weirded out.
Look at that.
Most of the class
Oh,
was
yeah,
silent
look at
now,
that.
waiting for her to make sense of it.
That's an
It's a
iron
phenomenon
armor.
known as the Mandela effect.
She grinned.
A complete mystery.
Boom.
An enigmatic anomaly on Earth with no scientific explanation.
And from that point, the hour and 15 minutes flew by. I thought 5 minutes had elapsed when it was time to be dismissed. It left me absolutely mind-boggled. Basically, it's the theory that Nelson Mandela did die in prison in the 90s.
He's
But then
alive.
something happened that somehow reversed this event, and he went on to live decades longer before dying again in 2013. Though some of us don't remember Mandela dying in the 20th century, others do. They remember the news coverage, the papers, the heartfelt speech from his widow, but all of it vanished from the universe when this event took place and rewrote history, and all that's left is this huge collective memory. These people that know he died like this, and all remember that same thing somehow, but it's wrong. Personally, I don't remember being told Mandela died in the 90s, but a lot of people did.
I know
And
he's
do.
still alive. That's a
There are
fact.
2 theories behind it. The first, and less common, is time travel. They say that someone went back in time and altered an event just slightly, but it created a ripple effect that resulted in something changing dramatically. Here's a made-up example. Bob married Sally. Bob and Sally met downtown sometime back in August of 2005. Bob's dog just got ran over, and he was grieving. And when he saw Sally walking her dog, he couldn't help but walk over and talk to her. Before long, they were in love and married. Well, then, Jack goes back in time to the same town around the same time.
What?
Jack's driving on the road about the same time Bob's dog got ran over. But since Jake's driving, and he's in front of the car that hit Bob's dog, since Jake was a better driver, he comes to a halt and never hits it.
I'm not
The
following.
dog runs back over to Bob completely fine. So now, when Bob goes downtown, he doesn't think twice when he sees Sally walking her dog, and they never say a word to each other. They each get married to somebody else, and now their son, who could have cured cancer or something, never exists. But time travel is believed to be entirely fictional and improbable. The more common theory is that there are several universes, all alternate, and that sometimes they rub shoulders, or essentially cross paths, like 2 cars in a really minor accident, a fender bender. Universe A rear-ends Universe B, and almost everything is the same, except Universe A needs a new bumper. Well, in literal terms, now something between Universe A and Universe B is swapped. Nelson
I don't
Mandela
even know what
lived
I'm
to
doing.
2013 and died of a respiratory tract infection,
False.
and not in prison in the 90s. And now, everybody in Universe B thought he died from lung infection instead of in an African jail. This one's the commonly believed one. After Dr. Arnold's class, I looked more into it. There are other examples too. Take the Berenstain Bears, for example. We all read those books as kids, or at least our parents read them to us.
I remember
Well,
those
without
books.
looking, how is their name spelled?
Stein.
Berenstein,
E-I-N.
or Berenstain? Which one?
Bernstein.
If
Steen.
you said Berenstain, you're one of the thousands of others that would bet their house you're right. But you're wrong. It was never spelled that way. And what about Curious George? Did he have a tail? What position is the thinker making? Is his fist pressed against his head, or is his hand not even balled up, slumped onto his cheek, his fingers extending all the way to his chest? Curious George does not have a tail, and the thinker does the latter position. These things may seem silly, but if they're wrong, why do so many people believe them to be true? Personally, I have my own theory about the Berenstain Bears and Curious George. When you read the name Berenstain, it looks Jewish or German,
What?
and like many Jewish or German surnames, you think of it ending in Steen instead of Stain. And take, for instance, Goldstein, Pearlstein, hell, Einstein. We all know that name. Berenstain just doesn't look right. Over time, our minds filled in the A with an E.
What the hell is
Same
this?
with Curious George. He's a monkey, for God's sake. Of course, we think he had a tail. He's even commonly portrayed hanging from a vine, with his head down and his butt up in the air, as if he's hanging from his tail. These are more like the power of suggestion. Through external factors, our memories of these simple things were altered. But then you have the thinker, King Tut's burial mask, and Nelson Mandela, of course. If the thinker really is posing with his hand in a relaxed, non-curled, flat motion pressed against his cheek, which is folding over his knuckles, why do we remember his hand as completely balled up and resting against his head? And not just us, but popular cartoons depict it this way as well. Why do so many people make this mistake? In King Tut's burial mask, what is on top of the mask, right between his eyes? There's a figure depicted there, an animal, to be more specific. For those of you that thought, snake, duh, you're like me, but you're wrong. At least, partly. There's a snake and a bird that looks so outlandish and unnatural on that mask that I can't even look at it without shaking my head. There couldn't have been two animals. That looks ridiculous. Look it up on Google and see for yourself. I remember in 6th grade,
I don't know what
history
this guy is
textbook
talking
with that
about.
burial mask on the cover. I looked at that thing every damn day. Hell, when I was nodding in class, that's where my eyes fell, down onto the cover of that book, which was sitting on my desk. I never saw that bird. I thought that maybe it could have just been the angle, but the bird sticks out so far that there's no way you can't see it, unless the mask was turned completely away from you, which it never is. And if it was, you wouldn't be able to see the snake either. I'm not the only one that remembers it looking like this. Popular cartoons draw it wrong all the time, too. But there was always a bird on that thing, since 1323 BC. Well, enough of my rambling. You might be wondering what all of this has to do with me. See, after Dr. Arnold's class that day, I couldn't get this off my mind. I was so spooked out by it, so
Polar
morbidly
bear.
intrigued that it just occupied my thoughts. I felt like a victim of it. But still, it wasn't some grand epiphany of mine, some life-changing philosophy. After all, I was too busy studying for exams to
Look at
ponder it that
that.
often. But all that changed when I sat down with my friend Asher a week later for breakfast. Asher and I had been friends since 1st grade. We met at Tawas City Christian Academy in Michigan, in a town with a population of less than 10,000. It was always freezing there, dreary and gray and silent. You could see the whole town from a 5-story building. There were miles and miles of abandoned cornfields. The only real moneymaker in the town was a small harbor at which fishing occurred. I discovered later on that apparently in other countries, Tawas City, Michigan, is known as the bird-watching capital of the world. Purportedly, a vast array of bird species migrate there, and it's great for bird watching. I never noticed that. All I can remember is the snowy gray skies and the silent cornfields, and the feeling that if the place was wiped off the earth, no one would ever notice. Naturally, the public school was puny,
What
but
the
the private
hell?
school, it hardly existed.
What
In my
the-
class, there were 15 of us, 16 including the teacher. So I thought. I'm starving, man. Asher sighed, walking ahead of me into the diner. It was an early Saturday morning. It was the last week of the semester, and we'd been studying like crazy. We figured our day would be spent doing the same thing as usual, an amalgamation of studying endlessly and resisting the urge to buy Adderall, which was pretty prominent on the campus around that time. But my day didn't consist of that at all. We sat down at our usual booth, Asher's hair as red and messy as usual. He was a ginger,
It's
and
like
a
me.
mischievous one at that.
Me.
He was a prankster and barely passed his classes. He was there for the booze and girls, and his grades reflected that. But, as best friends do, I forced him to study and pass. Still, breakfast was a school-free zone. All mention of classes and tests went off limits at the
Look
diner.
at this beast.
Here, we wanted to rid our minds of it all. The last time we met up, I went on and on about the Mandela effect, to the point he wanted to shove scissors in his ears. So I tried not to mention it today. I'm telling you, man. He sipped his coffee. When this is over, we're partying like crazy. Like crazy, Sean. I don't want to remember where I am when I wake up that morning. I chuckled. Yeah, man, for sure. Don't you sometimes wish we were back at Tawaz Christian? I mean, not back in the city, but just the classes. We thought they were so hard. We both laughed. God, we were wrong. Yeah, that was a whole different universe, bro. That shit was so easy.
Oh my
compared to
God.
now. And there were only 14 of us in total, unless you include Miss Davis, which is fucking crazy. 14? I think it was 15, man. He looked confused. Nah, bro, it was 14. Me, you, Aaron, and Glass.
This is the
Tyler,
craziest
Mahoney,
Mandela effect I've
Zach
ever heard.
O'Toole, that quiet girl named Grayson, Elizabeth, Norman, that one kid, I don't remember his real name, but we all called him Taz. We called him Taz because he talked so fast nobody could hear what the fuck he was saying. I chuckled as I remembered him. There was Brian Reed, the twins, George and Jordan Reynolds, that one nerdy kid, Dylan, and then Miss Davis. That's 15, including her. And Eve? He squinted his eyes. Who? Eve, the shy girl, remember? Short, blonde, brown eyes, didn't talk to anybody. He shook his head. That was it, man. There were 14 of us. No, dude. I replied. There was Eve. I've been waiting for you to name her the whole time. He just looked at me like I was telling him bread was a
Oh my
liquid.
God.
Asher, are you messing with me?
Wow,
Stop,
that's
dude.
what a.
I'm not messing with you. There just wasn't an Eve. I distinctly remember 14 of us. Remember? It's 4 girls, 10 guys. No? I shook my head.
Huh.
5 girls, 10 guys.
They're getting
That's how it
mad.
was. Her name was Eve. She didn't talk to anybody, and we both never said anything to her. You're messing with me, man, and it isn't funny. I started to feel panicked. I've been reading all this shit about the Mandela effect, and now you're trying to freak me out. Come on, man, stop. Now he looked frustrated.
This is way too
Stop
crazy.
with that Mandela shit. There's no Eve. You're sleep deprived. What? I was getting annoyed, but also terrified. All this hysteria I'd embraced lately, as I considered if the effect could be real, left me feeling hopelessly crazy as Asher argued with me. I knew there was an Eve.
I don't know how much
She went
longer
to
we're
Tawaz
gonna
Christian
listen to
with
this
us.
one.
Her face was easy for me to recreate in my mind. Sean. He looked at me intently. Are you fucking with me? No. I replied, trying not to sound panicked. It was such a simple situation. Asher just forgot about her. It was over a decade ago. She wasn't by any means a notable student. She shied away from conversation, sitting in the back of the room with nothing to say. She only talked when forced to by Miss Davis, and none of us struck up conversation with her. Bro, you're just forgetting about her. She was quiet, man, like really quiet. First grade was a long damn time ago. Maybe. He shrugged.
How do they remember
Honestly,
every
though,
single person from first grade?
No, it can't be. It can't be. I remember that class easily. There were
That's
14
insane.
of us. You must be thinking about something else. Don't tell me I was thinking about something else. I felt hopeless. Man, this isn't funny. You know that Mandela shit has been freaking me out. Please, Asher, stop. I pleaded.
This
He
dude
looked
is going
horrified.
like crazy.
Sean, I'm not fucking with you. Why are you getting so worried, bro? Here, He slid me his coffee. Just relax, man. Relax. It's not a big deal. You're fine. She was there with us, Asher. Remember
This
reading
dude's
her?
about to
There
go
were 5 of us in
crazy.
each group. Eve was in my group. No, man. I mean, you're right about there being 5 in each group, but Miss Davis was in a group, remember? No, she walked around and supervised. I argued. Asher, Eve was in my group. I know she was, because every time she was forced to read, she'd choke up and not say anything. And then the few times she did read, I was always enamored to actually be hearing her voice. Because
This
I
two
never
fell
did.
in
Like,
love.
no one did. Asher was still silent. Both of us knew what we knew, but one of us was wrong, right? Dude, I begged. Her car, remember that at least? Her mom dressed nicely in a dress, always. She'd come pick up
her
Eve in that
mom.
fancy black car. I never gave a shit about cars, and I still don't. In my senior year of high school, I thought the Altima was a car make. I couldn't tell the difference between a Porsche and a Honda, but
This
I
dude's
remember
like
her
going
car
crazy.
because it
What's
was
up
so
with
nice
this guy?
looking. It was probably a Cadillac or something. Come on,
Yes.
man. We used to always think it looked cool when it came into the pickup loop. Her mom was first to arrive every day, and Eve would get up quickly from her lone corner on the bench and trudge over to the car.
There
and her
we
mom
go.
would come out, dressed nicely,
Finally
even if
make
it was
a
snowing,
bed.
and hug her. Every single time. She always smiled nice because her mom hugged her every morning, too, and got her perfume on her. Now
What the
Asher
f-
looked worried. Sean, he shook his head.
Oh.
I don't remember her. I'd say you're thinking of someone else from another school, but we've gone to the same school since 1st grade, and I don't remember her. Ever. Maybe it was someone you met in preschool. No, no. We
Preschool.
both talked about her. She was in my reading circle in Miss Davis's class.
Yeah,
What
dude.
about afterward? You're only talking about 1st grade. I don't remember her after that. She must have moved. But she was in 1st grade. That's probably why you forgot her.
Yeah,
she moved, and
fucking
you just
idiot.
remember all of us that graduated 5th grade there. No, man, I remember 1st grade too. She wasn't there. Miss Davis was my favorite teacher. I remember that year easily. There wasn't a girl named Eve.
Yeah, dude, you're a
I
fucking
don't actually
idiot.
know why, but I felt like crying. Imagine that all your life, you never believed in ghosts. Then you see this horror movie or something, and there's a scene where the main character is looking in a mirror, and then the reflection stops following him and does its own thing, and it's horrifying. After that, you just keep thinking about that scene because it scared you so much. But hey, it's just a movie. It's not real.
Oh,
And that's the
jeez.
only thing keeping you from
That's
ever looking
too
into mirrors again.
Oh,
But then you figure out the
jeez.
movie's based on a true story. Okay, anybody could say that. It's based on a true story, like all horror movies. Just because it could be true doesn't mean it is. Nothing's hitting close to home. And then it happens to you.
This guy is going
You
crazy.
get out of the shower, and you're drying off, and you happen to look into the mirror. You raise your towel to dry off your hair, but when your reflection comes into view, your arms are at its side, and it's staring at you. You're terrified. It's real. It's happened to you, and there's no denying it. That's how I felt at that table. Maybe it wasn't just concrete, but I knew Eve was in that class. I remembered her like the back of my hand, but Asher didn't. Not at all. It was like the bird on King Tut's burial mask, like the thinker's flimsy hand stretching the skin of his cheek, like the absent footage of Nelson Mandela's huge funeral in the early 90s. I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. For the rest of the day, I didn't
This
study
man is
anything.
suffering.
I was too overwhelmed. I tried my hardest to assimilate Eve into a preschool memory, but she was incompatible. She didn't
We
fit.
gotta make it home.
She didn't fit at my old
We
church.
gotta make it home.
She didn't fit in my neighborhood growing up. She didn't fit anywhere but Miss Davis's 1st grade class. Finally, that night, I called my mother on the phone. At that point, I wasn't entirely convinced I was witnessing the Mandela effect. Some part of me figured that Asher had just smoked too much reefer in high school and forgot about her, and I knew how to find if I was right. I told my mom that she wouldn't hear much from me this week because of all the studying I'd be doing, which she totally respected.
Oh!
So, she was pretty
Polar bear,
surprised when I
polar
called her.
bear.
Hey, Sean.
She sounded excited.
What's up?
Hey, Mom, I wanted to ask you something.
Hey, mommy.
Do you remember a girl named Eve in Miss Davis's class?
That's a random question.
She replied.
No, it doesn't ring a bell. On your 7th birthday, you invited over all the kids, but I don't remember an Eve.
Yeah, I invited her, but she didn't come. I remembered. She was really shy. That's probably why you forgot her.
Well, I have some pictures of you in the first grade. I can
Ooh.
send them over to you, and you can point her out to me if you see her in them. Why are you asking anyway?
Good.
Well,
Good.
Asher doesn't remember her either. It's just weirding me out a little bit. I chuckled, trying to hide my nervousness. Yeah, it'd be cool if you sent those pictures.
Where's
Do you have
home?
ones of the whole class?
The one with all 14 of you?
The words
Oh,
left me severely
jeez.
uncomfortable. 15. There were 15 of us, Mom.
No, 14, I thought.
What the fuck? I whispered. Mom, yeah, just send the pictures if you can.
This is going to destroy this man's life.
Is everything okay, Sean?
Just feeling weird. It's weird nobody remembers her.
I don't have the class picture.
She sighed.
I wish I did. Asher's mom might. See if Asher can get it from her, but I'll send you the ones I have.
Okay, thanks, Mom. We talked a bit longer after that, but my mind wasn't occupied by the
Oh,
conversation.
there's the hole. There's
All
the
I
hole.
could think
There's the
about
hole.
was Eve.
Oh,
I could
home
remember
is
her
that
short
way.
body,
Oh,
her
jeez.
perfect posture, the quaint dress she wore to class. I could remember her scent that to this day still appeared sometimes
Quaint.
in supermarkets or in the lecture hall for a fading second, just long enough to remind me of first grade. I could remember her voice when she finally worked up the courage to read in our reading circle. I could remember everything about her. I knew I'd be able to point her out if she showed up in any of the pictures. Still, what bothered me was this. The Mandela effect is a smooth criminal. It's articulate, pinpoint, exact. It leaves no trace behind. Here's what I mean. The thinker,
Ow,
for
ow,
instance.
ow, ow.
A lot of people remember taking pictures with it. They know the thinker didn't look the way it does when they took the picture. So they go back and find their old vacation album, brushing the dust off and reluctantly finding them posing with their ex-wife before the statue. And all the work and awkwardness of thumbing through the old albums was for nothing, because in the picture, the thinker is doing exactly what they remember it was doing. Even weirder are the pictures that went viral of people standing right in front of the statue, posing with their fists against their head. They're in front of the damn thing. Don't they think they'd maybe notice it wasn't doing what they thought it was doing, and not posed incorrectly right in front of it? Or maybe they're not complete idiots, or just downright oblivious. Maybe when they took that picture there, it was pressing its fist against its skull. And then, when the Mandela effect occurred at some untraceable, inexact moment in time, the picture changed. But only the statue. It left everything else that wasn't the statue the same, resulting in the bizarre image of people posing incorrectly right in front of it. I knew that this was the Mandela effect I was dealing with. There'd be no point at all to receiving these pictures. Whether or not Eve was standing there when the picture was taken 15 years ago, she wouldn't show up in it. The only way to catch the Mandela effect is through relative things, like the people posing wrong in front of the statue. And if this wasn't relative, if the universe pulled Eve from existence, then she wouldn't be present in any of the Polaroids. But I wanted to check anyway. Maybe something would stand out. My mom sent 4 pictures. The first was of me, Asher, Brian, Reed, Taz, and Norman playing at aftercare one day in the mud. The second wasn't useful either, just me and Asher sitting at a picnic table one night at open house.
Ooh.
The third picture, however, was interesting. It was of the Christmas concert.
Comfy
All
looking
15
bed.
of
Look
us
at
were
that.
taught 3 church songs to sing at the concert, and our parents came to watch. It was humiliating for all of us, except maybe Aaron, who was born to be a star, but it was especially embarrassing for Eve. This photo jogged my memory immediately, and what made it so strange was the formation of the girls. In the picture, you see all of us on stage. There is one riser on the stage, and some of us were standing on it, while the others were standing in front on the stage itself. On the left side are the boys, 5 in front and 5 on the riser. On the right are the girls, 3 in front and 1 on the riser. Between 2 of the girls, it looks
Now what
like
do I
somebody
do?
is missing in the picture. You have Erin on the left, then Amy next to her, then Elizabeth next to her, then Grayson is standing on the riser between Erin and Amy. Eve would fit perfectly between Amy and Elizabeth.
Oh.
Perfectly.
Oh.
Why the hell would they put these 3 girls on stage and one girl alone on the riser asymmetrically? Especially when the boys are lined up perfectly. It makes no damn sense.
Oh.
And I remember Eve there that night. How scared she was. I remember her white dress and thinking that for once, we were all dressed like her, and she didn't stand out. I remember her crying backstage and being scared to death to go out and not singing the entire time but just freezing up. I'd bet my soul that all that happened. The final picture was also useless. Just me and Brian Reed in a kickball game we played on the last day of school. Brian Reed was trying to peg me out, and I'm running like a madman for first base.
Trying to what?
I saved that picture of the Christmas concert onto my phone. It was just the proof I needed to show Asher. The next day, when I ran into Asher, I showed him the picture.
Hey,
to my surprise, this actually affected him. He seemed nervous when he started to consider how weird the picture looked. He told me that if I had mentioned Eve now, after he'd seen the picture, he would have just thought it was a coincidence. But since I mentioned Eve before either of us had seen it, it made it a lot stranger. He wasn't ready to
hit this
believe
damn
in love,
thing, son.
not like I was.
What the hell?
But he was curious enough to
whoa.
ask his mother if she had our class picture. She did. Both of us waited anxiously for her to send it. I couldn't remember anything about
What
the
was
picture.
that?
Still, I wanted to see if there was a strange placement of students, like the Christmas concert, and so did Asher.
Oh, it's a flower.
When he got the message, both of us were shaking with anxiousness. The moment I saw it, I gasped. I remember. I jumped. The bee sting. Huh? Asher flinched, startled by my screaming. Asher! I grabbed him. See how we're standing like that? It was because of Eve. Miss Davis stood in the middle of us, 7 of us on her left, and 7 of us on her right. Those on her left were turned slightly to face her, thus the left sides of their faces were showing, and the right sides were blocked. And those on her right were turned leftward, so their right was facing the photographer.
What?
What stood out was the ample negative space in the picture. When groups pose in this fashion, it's a way to shrink the size of the group. Usually the cameraman has trouble fitting all the people into the shot, and thus they form this way so that they can all scrunch up and fit, but still look natural. But in this picture, it's easy to see that we had more than enough room to stand correctly and still fit. That wasn't the reason we stood that way. Asher, I felt as if I'd struck gold. We're all posed like that because Eve got stung by a bee. Dude, tell me you remember. We were going in to take the picture, and she got stung right underneath her right eye. Her face got all swollen, and she was crying because she didn't want to look like that in the picture. So the photographer said to pose like this, and Eve could turn the left side of her face to the camera. Dude.
This dude is insane.
Asher scratched his head. We just posed like this so we could save room. No, we didn't. There's no reason to do that. There's so much room on the left and right side. It's unnatural. We wouldn't have just done it for that reason. I don't remember anything like that happening, man. Honestly, this is starting to weird me out. I just think we should forget about it. I can't forget about it. I replied. She was real.
Oh,
I can't believe nobody
white
can remember
fox,
her.
little white
There was
fox.
only one option left for me to do.
Little white
I
fox.
had to have a reunion with them.
Whoa.
If we all met up and others of us remembered Eve, I'd know I wasn't crazy. Most of us hadn't spoken in years. Still, I had Erin as my friend on Facebook.
Oh.
She talked all the time about having a reunion now that we're all in our 20s, and I knew if I mentioned it, she'd ruthlessly try to put it together. I contacted her that night, and she was completely on board. All of us were about to be free from college for winter break, and I suggested we meet back in Tawas City. I was going down there anyway to see my family for Christmas. My mom had long suggested I throw a reunion at the house. She said she'd be honored to host and cater it. When I told Erin about it, she couldn't be more compliant. She assured me she'd contact the others. All 15, she said. My heart raced. I asked. All 15?
Yeah, all 15.
She responded.
Us and Miss Davis.
At that moment, I felt another sense of dread.
Jeez.
Erin always tried to keep the group together. Her forgetting Eve meant something was seriously wrong.
Whoa.
When December 18th arrived, I was shocked to pull into my old driveway. I hadn't been there in years.
Look at this
Usually on
place.
Christmas,
This place
they
is
came
crazy.
down to Tallahassee to visit me. It wasn't anything against them. I just hated Tawas City. Around Christmas time, it was freezing cold, and most of its residents went south for winter if they could afford it. It was a ghost town, and a frigid one at that. My parents had picked me up from the airport and driven me here. The entire way, I reminisced. As we passed through the frozen over cornfields, under the bleak white sky,
Look at what
I
we
felt like I'd been
found.
here yesterday. Nothing was different. It was all completely recognizable.
Look
Perhaps
what
the
we
only difference
found.
was some old buildings looked even older, even more decrepit and abandoned. Throughout the drive, and especially when I got back to my house before anyone else arrived, really all I could think about was Eve. I felt closer to
Oh,
her in this
jeez.
ominous, forgotten town.
Alright.
Back, entrenched in
Whoa,
the snow,
creeper.
something I hadn't felt in years. I sensed that she was in arm's reach of me. I knew that if I were to ever find closure, it'd be at this reunion.
Alright.
If just one person remembered her, then I wasn't crazy. Then the Mandela effect was real, and Eve was real, and Asher was wrong. God, I prayed for that closure. At 4 o'clock, all of us that could make it arrived. Miss Davis was unfortunately busy with her family, as her father was dying, and they didn't know how much time he had left.
Damn.
And Norman was completely untraceable. The last of us to hear from him was Brian Reed, who remembered Norman getting into trouble sometime around 8th grade and going to juvenile detention. After that, he pretty much vanished. Not like Eve, though.
I don't see any.
He was still in the pictures.
I don't see
They
any
still
good
remembered his
ores,
name.
dog.
When
Where
the other
all the
12 showed up at
ore?
the house, I forgot about Eve for just a moment. Seeing Erin again was awesome. She was as beautiful and energetic as always. Her long brown hair now styled maturely, and her vibrant green eyes now only wiser. Tyler Mahoney was also just as handsome as he'd always been. The stud was still dressed to kill, even in the freezing weather. Brian Reed had joined the Navy and was on
That
Liberty.
gold?
He was even bigger now
I
than he
think
was
I
then,
smell
and was engaged
gold.
to his girlfriend since high school. Grayson, on the other hand, was not favored by time. She looked older than she was, remained far shorter than most of us. Her face was covered with acne. Still, she was a lot more outgoing than any of us could remember. Zach looked a lot like how I remembered. Tan and skinny. The only difference was now he had a mustache. He'd worked at Home Depot ever since high school and was still living with his parents that moved to Minnesota. Amy was unrecognizable. She had bright blue hair now, which wasn't necessarily a surprise considering how rebellious she was growing up, but the piercings were unprecedented. Elizabeth was much like she always was, generally quiet and sweet, with her alluring amber eyes that nobody could forget. Dylan didn't look the way any of us thought he would. He was now ravishing, tall, and wore rich stubble along his grand face. He still wore glasses, and I'm glad. Contacts on Dylan would have just been staggering. He'd had a higher GPA than even Aaron, and all of us were proud of him. George and Jordan both looked a lot different now,
We can just
and was wiry and stout. Jordan, on the other hand, was more reserved,
fuck it.
amusingly taller than his twin brother George. Jordan's hair was neat and short. George's hair was a thick mess of black curls. They didn't even speak the same anymore. George spoke profanely, and Jordan seemed to be a stranger to vulgarities. It was intriguing to see them so different.
Oh, here
Taz
we
was
go.
just as goofy as ever. To our surprise, he'd been going to college and was working on a business degree, but when he talked about something he was passionate about, you couldn't understand a word of what he was saying. The moment he stepped inside, he blabbered on and on and on, and all we could do was laugh. He was just as crazy as ever. Asher and I generally believed to
Baby
look the same.
zombie!
Asher's hair was still red, mine was still brown. His eyes were still green, mine blue. His face was still freckly.
Baby
mine smooth.
zombie!
He was still a
Oh,
prankster,
jeez, we gotta
and I was
move.
still
We gotta
quiet
move.
most of the time. The only difference was both of us were more in shape since we started running together. But the complacent joy of seeing all of my friends again only distracted me for a short while. Before long, my thoughts were back on Eve. I waited
we
for her
go.
to come in the door, but
Vicious
I knew she
combat.
never would. I waited for somebody to mention her, but I knew it would never happen.
Oh,
With Miss Davis and Norman accounted for, everyone was here. It disheartened me to say the least. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I read too much about the Mandela effect, and the bee sting thing was just a power of suggestion. And that Christmas concert picture was just weird. Maybe I dreamed of Eve once, or she was in my preschool, and I just screwed it all up in my head. There was no way to be sure. After dinner, we all went into the living room and talked. I tried to enjoy myself, but something felt wrong. Eve should have been there. It bothered me so much that no one had asked about her, and I knew I had to bring her up. But I didn't want to look crazy. Asher had asked me not to mention her, and I didn't want to annoy him. I also wasn't prepared to hear them telling me they remembered her. What would I do then? I wouldn't be delusional, but then what? The horror of trying to accept what became of her. What would be close to impossible. I wanted so badly to hear from someone that she was real, but I didn't know how I'd ever forget her if I had to really imagine the universe forgetting her. Bumping shoulders with some alternate dimension and ripping her from the snowstorms of Tawas City to some other place light years away.
Alright, we're in
Most of it
dangerous
looking the
mode right
same,
now.
with the exception of a few things
danger
that were
mode.
just eerily different. I wanted to stay quiet. I wanted to just forget about her, but I knew that wasn't an option. I didn't know what was more disturbing to me.
Wait, we're
The
Minecraft
Mandela
Steve,
effect
we
happening
craft.
so close to home in my life, or me being this delusional. Either way, I had to know. I could hold it in no longer. Hey guys, I spoke up nervously. I need to ask you all a question. Asher looked disappointed. What's up, Sean? Brian Reed asked. Look, this...
Don't do it,
this might
Sean.
sound weird, but where's Eve?
Don't dig straight down. What am I doing?
Yeah, I was thinking that this whole time. Tyler Mahoney spoke up, and my heart stopped. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't crazy.
No.
Somebody else remembered her, and no one else did. There was confused silence devouring the room now. Asher looked as if he'd seen a ghost. I myself
Yeah,
was
you
horrified
wrong.
at the same
Oh.
time, overwhelmed with relief.
Shoot.
Eve?
Aaron
Whoa.
asked.
Okay.
Eve who?
I don't remember her last name. Tyler replied. It was quiet. Short, blonde chick.
Oh,
Wore a dress all the time.
yeah.
Holy shit. Asher muttered, bewildered. Holy shit.
Am I missing something?
Amy
There's
asked.
no way. This.
There was a girl.
This is getting
named
crazy
Eve in our
now.
first grade class. I spoke up. But nobody remembers her. At least I thought nobody did. I chuckled nervously. But Tyler,
Oh, this is
you do, man.
crazy.
I thought I'd lost my fucking mind. She's not in any of the pictures. Not a damn one. There's no sign of her ever existing except for my memories. I swear to God, I thought I'd gone off the deep end, but Tyler, you remember her. That brings me so much closure. There was no Eve, Dylan responded. I don't recall an Eve. I remember each of you distinctly. I can't imagine how I would have forgotten one of you completely, and yet vividly remembered the rest of you. I agree, Jordan chimed in. There were 4 girls. I remember that easily. There wasn't a 5th. Yeah, there was, Tyler replied, which gave me so much peace. I had a crush on her, remember? Not to sound like a douchebag, but all you girls liked me. He faced them, and none could deny it. But then I had a crush on Eve, and... The note! I burst into uproarious laughter, recalling it instantly. Yeah!
This is
Tyler laughed.
insane.
The room was silent.
Thank
I
God.
liked Eve. Tyler chuckled. Nobody knew why I liked her because she was all silent and standoffish, but I just fell for her, so I wrote this super corny, embarrassing note, and I went to hand it to her. And you got caught. I finished, just wanting to see it all line up again. And Miss Davis confiscated it, and everybody wanted to know what it said because when she read it, she started laughing her head off. Yeah, and it was the most embarrassing day of my life. He grinned. You guys don't remember? Most of them looked uncomfortable.
I don't remember an Eve.
Elizabeth spoke with certainty.
Never do I remember that name. I don't remember the day you're talking about. And we all certainly did used to snicker about you.
She smiled, but looked troubled.
All of us girls. I think we'd remember that.
It happened. Tyler shrugged. How would Sean and I remember the same thing, exactly the same thing, and it not really happen?
It's
And
true.
how would
It's the
everyone remember
truth.
the thinker's fingers balled into a confident fist when they were in fact flaccidly poking his chest? And how would everyone remember King Tutankhamun's burial mask with its lone snake as its crowning feature when all along there was a lucid, brightly constructed bird immediately beside it? And how would everyone remember Nelson Mandela's untimely fate in a downtrodden South African prison, resulting in monstrous civil unrest? Vividly recorded footage of his ubiquitously aired funeral and the tear-jerking lamentation delivered by his widow in his passing, when all of it never fucking happened. It's because something disturbing.
Whoa,
and
that
unthinkable
creeper going
occurred.
crazy.
Something that none of us will ever explain happened, emasculating the thinker's resolute stoicism to a pose of deep uncertainty,
Oh,
producing the unnatural bird like a blackhead on King Tut's burial mask, and turning Nelson Mandela into a zombie who lived unnoticed until he passed away again in 2013,
yikes.
leaving those of us remembering differently absolutely baffled.
Well, that's just really weird.
Aaron's words were the catharsis the room looked for. No matter what Eve's existence, or lack thereof, meant, none could disagree that it was, in fact, just really weird. We changed the subject afterward, and most of us seemed to move on rather quickly from the enigma. But I didn't. It bothered me the entire time, gnawing at me. I wanted to sit and talk with Tyler about Eve all night. I wanted to hear all the stories about how he remembered. I was dying to ask him if he recalled the bee sting story, but it just never came up. I couldn't ask it. I didn't want to visit it anymore. It did something to me that I can't explain. To imagine that little girl being stung in the eye, crying before picture day in our snowy, empty town. The memory alone was enough to make me tremble. That poor little girl, showing the left side of her chubby face to the camera. Where was she now? Why couldn't anyone remember? I did my best to just forget. But Eve was stuck in my head. I knew I'd never forget about her. The Mandela effect was real. She really did exist once, and now she didn't. What the hell happened to her then? I mean, really, it was just too terrifying to think about, and I couldn't forget it, no matter how desperately I tried. Asher seemed to be in my boat. Most of them stayed the night at my house, since there wasn't a motel in the entire town, and the majority of our parents had moved. The next day, everyone was out of town except me, having flown out back to the land of the living.
Oh,
Only I stayed behind in the snow-scoured wasteland of Tuaw City, Michigan. Only I remained in this hotspot of the universe, this place where two realities collided. I didn't receive the closure I'd wanted from the reunion. We all exchanged numbers and were staying in touch now, which was great. But more than anything, I was constantly bombarded by thoughts of Eve. I just wanted something to make sense. I stayed awake late at night, thinking about her voice that I could so simply recall, reading to us, "There is a big bird on your head," and Max's words. I remembered her so scared at social events and huddling through the snow, still wearing a dress, though adorned with mittens and a scarf, toward her loving mother, where they'd hug outside her fancy black car. I remembered Eve's crying when the bee stung her eye. That memory, for some reason, bothered me more than the others. It just affected me. Something about it really cut deep. She was so innocent. I felt so bad for her. And now she wasn't the victim of a simple bee sting, but of some horrible cosmic event, leaving her non-existent. My parents wanted me to stick around until Christmas, but the thought of that killed me. I didn't want to stay in this wasteland for a week. I hated it, and now I was scared to death here. Would I get ripped from reality into the cosmos? It happened here once already. This mystery just consumed the town to me, drenching it and leaving me constantly reminded of Eve, the girl that stopped existing. Days passed, and all I did was sit in the living room and watch TV. I enjoyed seeing my parents when they were around, but both worked, and this meant I spent a lot of time alone at the house, which I abhorred. Eventually, I dug through my old closet to find something that might be from first grade. I didn't find anything. I did, however, hold in my hand the picture that Eve was yanked from, the one where she should be between Elizabeth and Amy, but she isn't.
Oh, wow, yeah, look
She's
at...
not
Oh,
there.
man's got shot.
It's just that unnatural space between them.
Ah,
A bastard universe. It's so smug,
damn.
so omnipotent, that it can leave clues as gaping as this, and yet still there's just no way to prove that she's real. But then, on Christmas Eve, it happened. I got a text from Tyler. "Sean, I read up on the Mandela effect. That shit's got me fucked up. I think this is what happened, but I remember something now, And this might really prove Eve existed for sure. The note I wrote her, you stole it. You took it off Miss Davis's desk and gave it back to me. But then I told you to keep it and throw it away. You told me later on that you never threw it away, but took it home and showed your parents and laughed your ass off every time you read it. Where is it? If you still have it, it'll be proof. Holy shit. I gasped when I read the text.
Oh my,
shit.
do you guys hear
You're
that?
completely right, Tyler. I'm gonna have to find that note. I swear to God, I will, and when I do, I'll send you pictures. Then we can prove she's real for sure. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Wouldn't the note not exist now too? Well, no. See, when the Mandela effect occurs, only things directly related to what was changed are altered. That's why the people posing in front of the thinker are still posing wrong. That's why the cartoons in which King Tut's mask has one snake on it and no bird still look like that. The only thing changed is the real deal, so the actual pictures of Eve, they're gone, but she's pulled from them, and there's not a trace of her remaining. But the note, if I found it, it would be just the proof I needed. It would mention her by name. My dad told me that I could feel free to check the storage unit for the note. Apparently, there he'd placed a lot of crap I didn't clean in my closet growing up, and if it was anywhere, it'd be there. I even faintly remember stealing it now, like the rotten kid I was, and reading it from time to time for a good laugh. Some part of me wanted to wait until my dad got off work to check the storage unit with him, but I knew, somehow, that I'd never find the note if he was there. I felt like I had to do it alone. I drove there through the snow on a day just as bleak and silent as any other in Tawas. I passed along the cornfields, the ominous tower-like silos, the seemingly empty fish shops, in the frozen harbor. It was all just how it always was. When I got to the storage unit, I was strangely horrified. I felt like I was about to walk into a haunted house. As a kid, the storage unit always scared me.
Oh, yeah,
in all my life, I know as a fact, I've never seen another soul in that building other than my father. It was always dark and empty, and now, without him by my side searching for this letter about a ghost, I was mortified. But I continued on. I entered the frigid, voluminous metal halls, journeying through them and turning on the lights as I stepped into each corridor. Finally, I arrived at our unit.
Is that Diamond?
I dreaded lifting the door.
No
It made
way.
a frighteningly loud creak. It unsettled me to hear it, even though I was the one making it. I lifted the door as quietly as possible, which wasn't quiet at all, then began my hunt. I looked for over an hour. I could barely reach the boxes in the back, and each one was filled to the brim with
diamonds?
junk, usually sporting a silverfish or two. But then I found it.
Silverfish.
Baseball cards. These were from first grade. They were in a plastic container, barely visible under the pile of junk in which it resided. But I grabbed the box, sliding it out of its tomb and into my arms. I opened the container. Inside were the baseball cards. The Berenstain Bears book. It's fucking creepy. And spelled with an A, of course. Some doodles and old notebooks. And a folded up letter. I recognized it instantly. I held it in my hands. Now in the lonely, cold, silent, eerie storage unit, I caressed the piece of evidence the universe forgot. I slid open the old paper, hardly able to breathe as I searched for the name. I unfolded it.
Yeah.
Dear Eve. That was all I had to read.
That's insane.
Dear Eve. Dear
Dark.
Eve. I folded it up and slid it into my pocket. I took a long, deep breath, leaning against a pile of dusty boxes.
This is it.
Eve was real.
Oh,
The girl
good
that stopped
slap
resisting
is
was
a
really
Zuli. What
here once
the
in this
fuck?
graveyard of a town, and I wasn't crazy. And somehow, some way, two universes collided, and Eve was ripped into oblivion by the silver fingers of the cosmos, vacuumed from existence without a single trace,
Whoa.
except my memories, Tyler's memories, and the note in my hand. What happened to her? Where was she now? Was she alive? Where was that sweet, quiet, sobbing girl? And would I ever know? Probably not. She's in a place where Curious George has a tale, and where children grew up reading the Berenstain Bears. She was taught that Nelson Mandela died in a South African prison, and when she pretends to be the thinker, she isn't posing wrong. I hope. Or maybe she is nothing now.
Look at me.
Maybe the universe made a tragic mistake, and that harmless girl will never trudge into her mother's loving arms again, but instead spend eternity scared to death, trapped in the swirling gray snow. I have no idea, but as I sat there, all I could do was imagine the ghost of her sitting there with me. I felt so close to her in that place that time forgot, in that meaningless metal room, trapped in a town in which the universe made a mistake.
I was lucky.
When I finally flew back to Tallahassee, I couldn't be more relieved. I vowed that I would never return to Tawas City, Michigan, no matter what the reason. As far as I was concerned, it was better left behind, like Eve was. But like usual, I just couldn't escape her. I texted pictures of the note to Asher and Tyler. Both were equally as messed up. We all just tried to put it behind us, though. And then Miss Davis
How do you do
updated her
that?
Facebook.
I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the reunion,
She posted.
but I just wanted to say that I'll make the next one for sure. To my favorite class ever.
She also published a picture, a drawing from Elizabeth. It was a drawing of the class, and it was clearly drawn by a child. Amateurish, simple, messy, in colored pencil. But simple as it was, there was nothing normal about it. It was a drawing of 10 little boys, and a drawing of 5 little girls. A drawing of a short blonde girl with brown eyes, and what could only be distinguished as a dress. I don't know how anyone else reacted to that, but I know I'll never unsee that image. Even now, all these years later, sometimes she comes to mind. I can't help it. I've seen horrible and unexplainable things in my life. 2 towers destroyed by hijacked planes for no reason. Sheer hatred, leaving thousands dead. A prison invaded by an active shooter that employed military tactics, killing little children, and entirely unprovoked by anything.
Does this man just say 9/11?
None of it
Oh,
affects me more than Eve, the girl the universe forgot.
nobody remembers 9/11. Am I the only one that remembers 9/11? Oh my god. That was a good one. Alright, now we have to find another one. What is... We gotta do this one. This one's 2 hours long.
Hey everyone. So the channel's past 500,000 subscribers.
Okay, we're going to the story.
I never had a close relationship with Sarah, my older half-sister. She was born out of my dad's earlier marriage, so by the time I came into the picture,
What?
she was already a teenager.
We're listening to
We didn't
Creepypastas and
argue
playing
or fight.
Minecraft.
We
Chill
simply never
out.
spent time together.
Chill out.
I was starting kindergarten when she moved out, and she wasn't thrilled about having
We just
me
had the
younger brother.
craziest one.
I barely saw her as I got older, meeting only occasionally during holiday get-togethers or in the once-in-a-blue-moon visits. But we were on good terms. So when the cops called us a few days ago to let us know they found her body, I was devastated.
Wait, what?
Some neighbors
I haven't been
apparently called
listening.
911 when they heard screams and saw smoke coming out of the house. After the firefighters put out a fire in the
You heard
basement,
about the
they
9/11?
found
Yeah,
some
that was
charred remains
crazy.
that they assumed were hers. They couldn't identify her given the body's state, but all of the evidence pointed towards an accident. She didn't have a husband or kids, so the duty of burying her fell on us. The
What?
funeral was what you'd expect under such circumstances.
Oh.
Lots of
Hey, whoa,
crying
whoa,
and
whoa,
mourning
whoa.
around a closed casket. But the deed was done. I was left
Oh,
an only
whoa.
child, and a few
Ah.
days later, we took to scouring her house and doing an inventory of her belongings. It was an all-around unpleasant
get in there.
experience on many levels. It felt
Dumbass.
so wrong to go through her things like that. But with her only living relatives being my father and I, we inherited
Whoa.
her house and possessions.
Hey, quit it.
We decided we didn't want them, so we'd sell almost everything.
Oh,
The
God.
plan was to only keep some
What
of
the
Sarah's
hell?
stuff as mementos, things like pictures and
Ah.
whatnot. I went along with Dad to
Jeez.
help, and we went room by room, cataloging items one by one. Given the small size of the house, it went pretty fast, but we started late into the day, so we wouldn't be able to finish by nightfall.
One of the detectives wants to drop by later. Says he has some more investigating to do.
My dad said as we were getting ready to leave.
He asked for someone to stay here tonight, but work won't allow me. Could you do it, champ?
Champ.
Sure. I mumbled, not in the least thrilled.
Come on,
about the
champ.
prospect. Dad packed a small box of trinkets in his trunk. And
Trinkets.
off we went
Ooh.
home. The only room we hadn't gone into
I'm a
was the
trinket man
basement,
myself.
and I wasn't about to do it by myself. The wood door leading into it was wide open, charred by the fire and black with soot. The basement itself was in a similar condition, ravaged by the fire and by the firemen's attempts to put it out. It unnerved me to no end, so I dragged a chair out on the porch and spent the evening there. I smoked half a pack of cigarettes and drank some old beer left behind in the fridge, all while the neighbors regarded me with
It's
curiosity.
time to go home.
A few of them even approached me, giving me their condolences when they found out I was Sarah's younger brother. The detective finally arrived at sundown, pulling onto the street in an old beater car. He looked like your average guy when he stepped out, dressed in a cheap suit and a loose coat hanging on his shoulders.
Hello, I'm Detective Marcus.
He introduced himself. Clancy, nice to meet you, Detective.
Likewise.
I'd offer you a beer, but I assume you can't drink on duty,
Might as well.
Marcus said with a shrug of his shoulders.
I'm off the clock and I'll be here all night.
Oh,
That took me by
all
surprise,
night.
but who was I to argue with him?
Yeah, who are you?
I
Oh,
fetched him a chair and a beer, so he sat down and lit up a cigarette as well. We had some admittedly awkward small talk, but the subject quickly moved to Sarah and her death. Marcus asked the usual questions. Was she depressed? Did she go outside? Or was she a shut-in? Did she have any friends or romantic partners he could question? All perfectly reasonable questions meant to dig up new leads,
Oh,
but I was the wrong person to try and answer them. I wasn't particularly close to Sarah, so I didn't know most of the answers that Marcus wanted.
Don't worry about it. I get it.
He reassured me.
I
Oh, I
don't speak
see.
much with my old man. For example, couldn't tell you his birthday if you put a gun to my head, let alone what he's up to these days.
It's just, I never imagined she'd go like this, you know? I'd have made an effort if I knew.
Don't beat yourself up over it, kid. What's done is done.
It
yeah,
was getting
champ.
late and darkness settled, so we went inside. I led Marcus to the living room, and he shared some of the case details with me after we made ourselves comfortable.
The reason I wanted to stay in the house overnight is this.
Is
As
he
he
allowed to
spoke,
do that? Can you
He
just
pulled
stay
out
in like a
smartphone and browse some files on it.
in the
I'll warn
suspect's
you.
house?
They're pretty disturbing. If you want me to stop at any moment, just say so.
He pressed play on an audio file, then laid the phone down on the small table between us. We both leaned in as Sarah's voice resounded from the speakers. Recording 1.
Is this app working? Test. Test. Oh, okay.
Oh, with these flipping
Well,
apps.
My
All
name
these
is Sarah.
flipping apps.
I moved into this house 2 days
Oh,
ago.
hey. You scared me, Cal.
I heard some strange noises last night from the basement.
Oh, no, 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 no.
So I'll leave my phone out to
This
record
was
the
not a
audio
normal
if it
gig.
comes up.
Oh my god.
Recording 2. Some breathing is heard in the background, and the phone gets set down. Footsteps walk away from the microphone, then it's quiet for a long while. Marcus skips through most of the recording, as it is nearly 9 hours long. About 2 hours in, around midnight,
Whoa,
the
what was
microphone
that?
catches a distant
Oh,
crash.
a snow
Some skittering
fox.
follows, sounding like a
cute.
cat running around on bathroom tiles. It goes on for a few hours, with long pauses between bouts. A
What?
deep voice calls out weakly. What the hell? I let out. Marcus paused the recording and looked at me.
Do you want me to stop it?
He asked. I contemplated his offer. On one hand, whatever followed had the potential to traumatize me for life. But on the other hand, the sheer curiosity would eat me up alive if I didn't find out more. So I gave in and told him to let it play. The voice calls again, this time sounding more human.
Is anyone there?
No one answers it. The voice falls silent, and the skittering carries it away from the microphone. No more sounds are heard that night. Recording 3.
What the hell? What the hell? I knew it. Someone's living in my basement.
Recording 4.
Okay, I calmed down a bit. I was terrified after I listened to the last recording, so I ran out of the house and called the cops. The squad
Oh,
was
baby
here for
zombie.
about half an hour. The bastards
Come
took their
on,
sweet time.
What?
But I showed them the recording. I went back inside, accompanied by a cop, and we checked out
Come
the
on, get hit off the mountain, you
No
fool.
one was there.
Oh
We
shit.
opened the place inside
Oh,
out.
shit.
We checked everything. But the room
Creeper.
was small. No windows, no exits, and no place for someone to hide. The cops think that it was an intruder who broke in. But they
No,
couldn't
that's the
find any
evil
signs of it.
basement creature that
They
is
said they'll
stalking this
patrol the
lady.
neighborhood at night and keep on the lookout for any suspicious activity.
That's what
One of
that
them
is.
also asked me to keep recording, just in case.
Recording 5.
Okay, here goes. I'll leave the phone out tonight as well. The cop car just passed on the street, so I feel a bit safer.
The sound of the phone being placed down is heard.
What am I doing?
as Sarah's footsteps follow. She leaves. The recording is silent for a few hours. Marcus skips ahead through it until another distant crash is caught. The skittering returns, stopping a few feet away
This
from the
lady.
microphone.
Hello?
The voice calls out.
Is anyone there? Hello?
It sounds more feminine than the last time. Still inhuman, sort of like an artificially generated voice, but verging on crossing into the uncanny valley into natural-sounding territory. It calls out a few more times over the span of a few hours, sounding more and more like a woman. When it becomes apparent that no one will answer its calls, the voice stops. The skittering takes it away from the microphone, and the rest of the recording is silent. This is getting all kinds of freaky, I mumbled.
I know.
Marcus admitted.
Never seen anything like it before. Do you recognize the voice by any chance?
Not a clue, I admitted. It doesn't sound familiar,
I was afraid that would be the case.
Marcus said with a sigh.
Sarah confirms a possible identity to the voice in a later recording, but I wanted to double check.
Then maybe show it to Dad? I provided a solution. He was closer to Sarah than me. He might have an idea. Marcus fell silent for a moment. He joined his hands beneath his chin and leaned forward, propping his elbows on the table. The look in his eyes turned grim and worried.
I'm sorry, Sonny,
He said out of the blue.
for all you've heard so far and for all that's to follow. But I'm glad it's not your father that decided to stay. These recordings might just break him.
What? I asked, dumbfounded. What's that supposed to mean?
It will all make sense. if
No
you keep
way,
listening.
no way.
Marcus answered. The change in his demeanor was strange, and the night took an unnerving turn. I should have backed out. I should have kicked him out. I should have done a lot of things differently, but my curiosity mounted to levels beyond my ability to rein in, so I proceeded to listen further. Recording 6.
Oh, what the hell? That was Mom.
Sarah cries
What?
into the microphone for a few minutes before the recording ends. Recording 7.
I'm not gonna call the cops anymore. That was Mom calling out. I want to talk to her. She's been gone for so long.
Recording 8.
Okay. I've calmed down a bit. I hope. I'll wait here tonight.
The recording is silent for a long time. It turns off abruptly after about half an hour.
Do you know anything about Sarah's mother?
Marcus asked me. I jumped back in my chair at the sudden interjection, completely absorbed by my thoughts. Not really, I admitted. She died before I was born. It was why Dad remarried. Marcus gave me a thoughtful nod of his head in answer, and he played the next recording. Recording 9.
It's back. I'll start another recording.
The scurrying returns. Sarah's breathing is audible in the background, and it gets faster as the sound approaches her. The chair creaks, presumably as she gets up, and her footsteps join the skittering in the background.
Hello?
The same woman's voice from the previous recording calls out.
Who are you?
Who are you?
The voice repeats Sarah's words back to her.
Mom?
You're feeding it
Sarah cries
language.
out in a trembling voice.
Mom?
The voice repeats her words again.
That's
Who are
scary.
you? How do you have my mother's voice?
Who are you?
The voice repeats.
You're feeding it
Footsteps
language.
resound again.
You can't
approaching the voice
speak.
as
You
it
can't
says the
speak to
same
this
line
thing. It
over and
feeds.
Answer me!
Sarah demands. Knocking is heard,
Oh
as if
no,
someone
no,
is bashing a door
no.
with their fist.
Answer me.
The voice coos.
What do you want?
The voice lets out a few garbled words, but they are intelligible. Its pitch and intonation adjust before it speaks again.
Sarah? My dear, is that you?
I was left stupefied. The uncanny valley was finally crossed, and the voice sounded decidedly human for the first time.
Oh.
It held none of the animalistic traits from before. The subtle anger and malice in it was gone, replaced by a deep sense of compassion and worry. The voice continued.
I haven't seen you.
Whoa, what was that?
long.
Sarah weeps silently in the background, but she doesn't answer the voice again.
What?
It, however, keeps calling out.
I've missed you, my dear.
Footsteps sound out as Sarah backs away.
Doggies.
And the voice grows distant. It
They're
calls out
hunting.
over and over again, but the facade cracks. It can't maintain its grasp on the charade for long, and it devolves back into the uncanny valley slowly. The footsteps pick up speed until they turn into a run.
Oh.
After a few seconds, the voice becomes inaudible. A door is opened and closed shut with force, and Sarah starts crying uncontrollably. The recording stops.
The recordings are time-stamped.
Marcus says,
After this one ended, Sarah didn't make another one for a few days.
considering what I'd just heard, I didn't know how to answer. I kept silent, mulling over my own thoughts and feelings on the matter. As intriguing as the situation
Sarah was smart. She
I mostly
recorded
felt
the
horrified
beast.
and sorry for Sarah. I couldn't even begin to imagine what must have gone through her head after living through that. Why are you showing me all of this? I asked Marcus after a while. If you really are a detective and part of the police force, you'd lock stuff like this away behind 10 locks and keys. Marcus leaned back in his own chair, thinking my question over. He pulled out his crumpled up pack of cigarettes.
Should I
and
jump
chewed them
onto
from it.
that?
I pushed the ashtray closer to his side of the table as he lit it up, and he bellowed out a cloud of white smoke.
All in due time.
Look at this place.
He answered. His eyes scanned me in a fashion completely different from before, with a cold and calculated look behind them.
What do you think so far?
I don't know. What the hell's going on?
Answer me, Clancy, and be honest.
He demanded.
Whether or not I'll show you more depends on it.
I racked my brain, but I was truly and utterly stumped. The situation devolved too fast for me to keep up, and I didn't know what to think anymore, but I could tell that that wasn't the answer Marcus wanted. It's, I don't know, a ghost, a demon, a skinwalker? I hazarded a guess. Marcus seemed surprised by that. He pushed the cigarette away from his face, letting out another lungful of smoke.
Oh, it's definitely a
And do you believe
skinwalker.
that?
He said bluntly.
That it could be something supernatural?
What the fuck else could it be? I answered his question with another. What do you think it is?
What I think is irrelevant. I want to know what you believe.
That's what I believe, I answered. I didn't know Sarah well, but she wouldn't fake something like this. So either she was haunted by something, or you're messing with me,
That's the correct answer.
Marcus said with a satisfied smirk. He put out the cigarette in the ashtray and leaned over the phone, placing a
We
finger
dig
over
into
its
here?
screen.
So, how
Oh,
about it?
there's no point.
Do you want to hear more?
Why would I want that?
Do you or do you not, Clancy? No hard feelings either way. I can't force you to listen.
Yeah. Start the next one. I don't know for sure why I decided that. We could sit here all day while I blame curiosity, or more likely, stupidity, but those answers would be half-truths at best. It didn't feel like a want at the time. It felt like a need. I needed to go through with it. I needed to hear all of it. The reasons I felt that way didn't matter at the moment.
I have a good feeling about you, kid.
Marcus.
Oh, this man. I already know the detective is the creature. I already know the detective is the
I don't know what
creature.
to do anymore. It's
I've already
driving me
figured out
nuts.
the mystery.
Whoever's messing with me comes back every night. I hear them even now.
The microphone picks up footsteps and a door creaks open slowly. Faint mumbling comes from the distance, accompanied by the familiar skittering. It pauses for a brief moment before it speaks up.
Sarah.
My dear,
The voice calls out, not entirely
No, it's a...
I just...
human. The door closes shut with a loud thud, and Sarah retreats back into the room.
I tried a lot of things over the past few days. It calls from the basement, so I got locks and put them on the door.
That's smart.
They're untouched, so whoever it is isn't coming from outside of the house. It hides in there somewhere. I called the cops again.
Ooh, get a drone.
But it left
This
me
is why
across
we're in the
road.
best world. Get drone. Get a
Two officers
drone.
asked me to unlock the door, and they checked
Get a
the basement
drone.
again, but lo and behold, it's
Drone
as
with the
empty as last
camera.
time. I'm not sure what they think of me. Maybe they suspect I'm fucking with them, so I can't rely on their help. I even told Amy about the thing and showed her the recordings. So she slept over yesterday.
Why? Why don't you
Amy
sleep over at
somehow
her
knew
house?
I wasn't alone because it didn't make a peep the entire night. I'm not sure if Amy believes me or not anymore. Hell, I wouldn't believe me if I were her. But she offered a solution. Get a roommate or a boyfriend.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That makes sense.
Could work, but I don't know anymore.
Do you know this Amy?
Marcus asks as the recording ended. I think Sarah mentioned her a few times, but I never met her. I looked over my shoulder as I answered, at the corridor leading to the kitchen. The basement door was on one of the walls there, and I could see the locks mentioned in the recording. They hung open on the door, but they were still intact.
Wait.
Marcus snapped his fingers.
The
to
locks
get my
were
clearly
open?
distracted attention. Then he pointed down at the phone.
Wait, the locks were
Keep
open?
going.
He asked once more. Yeah.
Before I hit play, I want to ask you something again. Did you by chance suffer any mental trauma as a child, or even recently? Something that shook you to your core?
I raised an eyebrow at the strange question. No? Why?
You're taking all of this surprisingly well. Your mental fortitude is pretty high.
Marcus answered.
This guy's weird. This guy's a
Sometimes a
little
sign of-
silly freak.
Never mind.
He hit play before I could pry him from
This
more
guy's a
details.
freak.
So
I don't
fell
trust this
silent to
detective.
not
He's a
listen.
freak.
But
He's
I made up
freakish.
my mind. When it was over, Marcus would have a lot of answering to do.
I gotta get home. I gotta get home.
Recording 11.
Shoot, I
tried
gotta
my
get
best
home.
to ignore it. I slept at a friend's houses some nights. That's getting harder to pull off. I tried looking for roommates, but no one wants to share a small house with this stupid pandemic around.
Oh,
My
this is
search for a
COVID.
boyfriend is just as fruitless.
Oh, jeez.
I'm getting a bit old for the dating scene.
What?
I'll keep at it, but from the looks of things, everyone's mostly down to fuck and not much else. I don't want to resort to frequent one-night stands. The police still answer my calls, thankfully. They're not doing much. Even their patrols are getting less and less frequent. I'm at a total
Oh,
loss here.
jeez.
I
Send
considered selling the house
send
and
a
moving
cop
right
down
in.
into the
That
basement. That's what you do. You send a
That
cop
might
into
be
the
my last
basement.
resort. Maybe I can
Please,
move in
sir,
with him and
inspect my basement.
wife
There's a
and
man
son.
in my basement.
we're not exactly friends.
That's what you do. That's the easy
So who
win.
knows?
That's
I
easy
can't
win.
risk telling them. There's no chance in hell they'll take me in if they think I'm crazy.
Hearing that, hearing her opinion of me and Mom, it stung. Sure, we weren't more than acquaintances, but we're not horrible people. We would have taken Sarah in if she reached out to us. So to know that her salvation was so close, kept at bay only by superficial assessments of us, it sucked, plain and simple.
Oh
And if she
no.
would have showed us the
Oh, no.
recordings, we might have
Get
even
out, get
believed
out, get
her,
out.
especially Dad. Play the next one.
Oh, that's a
I demanded
creeper.
before Marcus had a chance to say anything.
You sure? You sound a bit riled up. Maybe.
Play it. Marcus sighed deeply, but he did as I said. The recording
Sorry,
12.
Cal.
It's still here. It won't go the fuck away. I
Oh,
haven't talked to it in almost a
jeez.
month now. But it's still here. It's going to drive me insane, for real. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, no, no, no,
Confront
no.
it again tonight. Maybe
No,
I can
stop,
find out what
stop.
the fuck it wants or get some answers.
Recording 13. The recording starts.
Ooh, no!
And it's quiet.
Ah,
save
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
static
yeah.
For a few moments. Sarah takes a deep breath and a barely audible step.
Are you there?
The skittering returns, coming closer to the microphone than ever before. It sounds more frantic than usual.
Of course, my dear.
The voice says sweetly,
I'm always here.
You stop that, you hear me? Stop using her voice!
the voice coughs loudly.
Damn.
It changes as it does, slowly morphing and growing deeper. When it stops, it sounds male.
Sarah,
Oh,
I paused hearing that. It was Dad's voice, no doubt about it. Although it sounded ever so slightly off, I could recognize it. Up to that point, my running theory was that the thing could mimic the dead, but Dad is still very much alive, so that threw my theory out the window. I didn't know what to believe anymore.
What do you want?
I just want to see you. Open the door.
no,
Sarah backs
no,
away
no, no,
as her
no.
breathing grows faster.
No,
Please,
no,
honey.
no.
The voice begs again.
It's dark down here. I just...
Oh, ew, that's a scary
Sarah
thing
grows
to
away
say.
again
Oh,
as
that's
the voice's
creepy.
calls continue in the
Oh,
background.
it's dark down here. You little freak.
Father, correct?
Marcus asked when the recording ended. Yeah.
Oh, freakish,
It's
freakish,
not a
freakish.
skinwalker, like I thought at first. I don't know much about them, but, like, skinwalkers need to kill their victims to copy them, right?
Not necessarily.
Marcus answered.
But they do need to hear the voice they're trying to copy. And anyway, a skinwalker could have broken down the door.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
something else.
It doesn't need
Deduced.
permission.
But what?
I'm not sure yet.
He went to play the next recording, but I stopped him. Where do you know so much about skinwalkers?
Ow,
from?
ow, ow, yeah,
Marcus
ouch.
chuckled dryly.
All in due time, Clancy.
Oh, he's not a real
We still have a few
detective.
recordings to go through.
He hit play on the next recording, so we listened. Recording 14.
See, I don't trust like that. That's the difference between me and him. I don't trust like that.
The damn thing has so many voices now. Amy, my ex-boyfriend,
Oh, no.
Clint, random voices I can't place. Hell, it even used the voices of those 2 police officers that went down in the basement looking for it.
Oh, it already did that.
It keeps calling for me, pleading and begging, feigning confusion, asking to be let out. But I won't do it. I won't open that damn door ever again. Fuck whatever I keep down there. It can have my stuff for all I care. I'm tired. I can't sleep because of it. It's getting so hard to do anything, I swear. Today I almost
Move out.
got fired for mixing up customer orders for the 20th time.
Move
I
out.
snapped at the manager, but I stopped at the last second and apologized. Some coworkers noticed I'm acting off and asked me about it, but I can't tell them.
Ay,
Think
ay,
I'm
ay.
crazy. Hell, I'm starting to think I might be crazy myself.
Recording 15.
Sis?
That's as far as I got into that particular recording. I slapped my hand over the phone with enough force to send cracks into the screen surface of
What?
the tablet. Marcus jumped back into his chair, taken by surprise. What the hell? I let out. That's my fucking voice.
I knew this one would get to you.
Marcus answered with a half grin.
Marcus.
Or, well, get to you more than the others.
But I never visited Sarah here, I stressed. It couldn't have heard my voice, so how the fuck did it copy me?
Think, Clancy. Did it ever hear Sarah's dead mother?
Marcus answered my question with another.
For how long has she been dead?
20 years, I said as I finally understood.
So, what does that tell you?
It doesn't need to hear people's voices,
Correct.
Marcus said, satisfied by my breakthrough. So what, it can read minds?
Maybe.
Marcus said, scratching his chin.
At the very least, it can form a connection with people. But until we catch it and see for ourselves, I can't say for certain.
catch it? I echoed
Yeah.
his words.
Oh, there
Is
we
that
go.
what this is all about? You want to catch it? Marcus wiped his smirk off his face and looked at me intently.
Yes, Clancy. Either catch it or kill it and solve your sister's case.
So what? Are you... But Marcus didn't let me finish. He pushed my hands
He's a
away from the phone
skinwalker
screen
hunter.
and hit play on the recording, interrupting me.
That's what he
All
is.
in due time.
All
He
in due
repeated once
time.
more.
Sis, are you there?
It repeats in my own voice.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
been some time since Sarah's first
That's-
recording of the
that's-
mysterious voice.
Brr.
And it sounds thoroughly human at this point. No more cracks in its facade can be gleaned.
Listen to me and listen well. I won't put up with this anymore. You have tonight to leave my house and leave me the fuck alone. I'll go to bed, I'll plug in some earphones, and I'll ignore you. If I hear you again tomorrow night, you can bet your ass I'll come down there and end you. Whoever or whatever you are. Understood?
She sounds different somehow. Worried, tired, manic.
Please, sis, for fuck's sake, open the door and let me out.
And why would I do that? How'd you get down there anyway?
I don't know. I can't remember, but it's scary down here. Let me out, please.
It copies your mannerisms well. It's spot on, actually.
Marcus interrupted. It does, I admitted, feeling the color in my face draining little by little
That's,
as I listened.
that's
Given
scary.
enough time to learn, that thing could be a top predator.
And let me guess, you can't let that happen.
We can't let
The
that
world can't let it
Marcus
happen.
corrected.
We've got to
All
make
in
it.
time.
We got to make a move.
I replied and pushed play on
We
the
got to make a
recording.
call.
Sarah doesn't say anything else. Her footsteps
Badass.
carry her away from the basement door, and the voice pleads in the background. The recording ends after Sarah closes the door to her bedroom. Recording 16.
Okay.
You are spared,
It's my
young
19th
dumpling.
firearm. I don't have any money for that. And I don't even know how to handle one anyway.
Oh no.
Fuck me.
You have to go in there
Gasoline's
with
getting pretty expensive too.
armor and
But I can
sword.
afford a canister worth a few gallons and a box of matches.
Armor and sword. That's what you need. Armor and sword.
Fuck that thing up if I hear it again tonight. I'll pour gasoline into the basement through the crack beneath the door, and I'll light it on fire from up here.
Ooh,
Fuck the
that's
house.
smart.
Fuck the authorities. Fuck the
That's
repercussions.
smart. That's
I
smart.
can't
That's
let it
smart.
live. I don't care if I end up in prison or in a loony bin so long as it dies here.
My God, Sarah, I mumbled as the recording ended. Hearing her in that state of mind broke my heart. No one deserves to go through what she did, and the fact that we didn't help her sooner, that none of us made an effort to be in her life, it ate me up inside. We could have made a difference. I could have made a difference. Maybe then this tragedy would have had a better ending.
There's only one more to go.
Oh.
Marcus said. He leaned over the table and slapped a hand down on my shoulder, giving me a tight squeeze. I nodded my head as I felt tears forming at the corners of my eyes and signaled for him to play it. Recording 17.
The fuckery's still
Oh.
here. I warned it. I tried to be nice. I really did.
Ooh.
What could anyone ask of me?
A liquid sloshes around in the background, presumably the gasoline. Her breathing is strained and close to the microphone. Metal rings out as it hits the floor.
Sarah?
It calls out in the voice of her
Ooh.
mother.
I warned you!
Something topples to the floor, and the sound of rushing liquid is heard.
This is on you! It's not my fault!
Sarah, please. What are you doing?
What I said I would! You didn't listen! Why didn't you listen?
Please, Sarah. You don't have to do this.
Oh, the creature doesn't want it to happen. Good. Destroy the beast, Sarah. Destroy the
The thing
beast,
falls
Sarah.
silent. Sarah takes a deep breath, and the sound of gasoline pouring out of the canister dies down as it presumably runs out. Her clothes rustle as she searches her pockets, and she shakes the matchbox when she finds it.
Ask for the beast.
The
Make
sound
sure
of
it's
matches
there when you
jumping
light it
around
ablaze.
inside is the only audible thing for a moment. She opens the box and fumbles around with the matches for a moment.
You know what that is, don't you?
The voice doesn't answer her.
Ooh,
but
it's not
instead,
there. It
skitters
moved.
away from the door frantically. Sarah
Mm.
takes one final breath, and the sound of a match being struck is heard loud and clear.
Get fucked.
The microphone doesn't pick up
Damn.
the lit match hitting the ground, but it picks up the gasoline igniting. Air rushes in as the flames begin to burn, and Sarah lets out a yelp. The voice begins to scream loudly.
Yeah, you
rapidly
caught it.
switching
You
back and
caught
forth.
it. You
It
caught it.
lets out one final call, for the first time using Sarah's voice. The recording ended, leaving me wrapped up in a whirlwind of emotions. I was horrified. I was stupefied. I was strangely glad for it to finally be over. I was a mess, to put it bluntly. My body felt like it melted into the seat, but I quickly composed myself when I remembered that Marcus still had some questions to answer. Did Sarah kill it? Did we bury a monster instead of her? I asked in a single breath.
I don't know.
Marcus answered.
It could very well be the case. But then...
Then where is she?
Exactly. Plus, a lot of other things don't line up. But to be fair, they didn't line up no matter which angle I went at it from. All that we know for certain right now is that someone died in a fire.
So, monster hunter, huh? I asked after a few moments of heavy silence.
Pretty much.
Marcus answered.
I knew
What
he
they
was
call
a
when shit
monster.
gets spooky. And let me tell you, this shit is very fucking spooky.
Okay, but
Oh, wow,
all
this
this
guy is
still doesn't answer
badass.
the most important thing. Why show me this? Any of this? I asked. Marcus lit up another cigarette and leaned back in his chair. For the first time since he entered the house, he seemed truly comfortable, like he had nothing left to hide.
We're always on the lookout for new recruits. So
Oh.
consider tonight your entry test.
He admitted.
You're a bit rough around the edges, but you seem like a decent candidate to me.
Me, a monster hunter. You can't be serious.
He's turning
I
into
shot
a
back
monster
with
hunter.
disbelief. Marcus just shrugged his shoulders.
You'll never know unless you try. I sure as shit didn't. Never expected to hunt the things that go bump in the night before I tried.
And what if I refuse? I asked. Will you kill me or erase my memory or something?
If you don't want to, you don't want to. Simple as that. You can try to tell anyone, but who's gonna believe you?
I frowned, and Marcus caught on that he struck a nerve, so he composed himself and got up, taking the phone and stashing it in his pocket.
Look, kid, it's like I told you, time and time again tonight. I can't force you to
There's
do
no way that
anything,
you
but
don't become a monster
consider
hunter.
it. Okay?
Who would say
As he
no to
said that,
becoming a
he
monster
pulled out a
hunter?
business card that he tossed on the table.
That'd be
in front of me.
insane.
The world desperately needs more people like us. If there were more of us to go around, then
Maybe what happened here would have been stopped sooner.
yeah, it might be too late for your sister. But you could make the difference for someone else.
Oh yeah,
If
it's
you make
this
up your
way.
mind. Doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or a year from now, give me a call. Take care.
He has to
With
become
that,
a monster
Marcus
hunter.
left. I saw him to the door and closed it behind him. Then I went to crash into bed. My entire worldview was shattered tonight, and I decided to go get some rest before I tried to make sense of the pieces. The following days were uneventful, but even so, the strain of that night hung over
Dad,
me.
I'm becoming a
It permeated
monster
my
hunter.
thoughts at all times, permanently active in the background as it burrowed deeper and deeper. Dad returned. We finished clearing the house, and he put it up for sale.
Dad!
I couldn't focus on that, not when every thought I had was about those damn recordings. In the end, I had to stay over for a little longer despite my constant complaints. Because of the slummy neighborhood and sketchy neighbors, Dad didn't want the house to go unoccupied.
That's basically asking for thieves and punks to break in. And it's going to be hard to sell it if squatters make nests here. So just hang on for a little while longer, okay?
I wanted to fight him on the matter, to tell him he could stay over himself if he
Oh
was that worried.
no
but I didn't.
way.
I couldn't.
He's gonna be in there
Not
with
when
the
I knew
beast.
truth about what went down there.
Oh, he's gonna be
He
in
wouldn't
there
be
with the
another
beast.
death on my conscience.
He's gonna learn
So
how to
I
fight the
lived in house
monster.
for another week or so, helping out with renovations and whatnot. And truth be told, it wasn't all that bad. It was a bit creepy, sure, but the freedom of living on my own was oddly pleasant. One evening, after he went home and I was left alone, I heard a knock on the door. I slowly made my way over to answer, expecting either him or Marcus, but who I found on the other side left me terrified.
Was it Sarah?
It was Sarah.
Oh
Clancy.
no.
She greeted, sounding almost casual.
Oh no.
What? How? I let
Oh
out in a
no
meek
no no
voice
no
as
no
my
no
tears
no.
started to flow.
Get ready,
I
get
have a
ready
lot of
for a
explaining
fight.
to do. I know, but
Get
didn't
ready
let her
for a
finish.
fight. Get
I
ready for a
jumped her,
fight.
latching my arms around her shoulders as I bawled my eyes out. She put her arms around me as well.
That'd be the
We
perfect
hugged for
kill
minutes
spot.
in the doorway as I cried.
He's not fit to be a
happened?
monster hunter yet.
Where were you? I asked when we
He
finally
has to
parted.
fight her.
We buried you. We thought you were dead.
I'm sorry. A lot happened and I had some problems. I ended up running away to a friend for a while, and
She sighed.
it's a long story, okay? And very crazy.
Tell me about it, I said, rubbing away the tears. Call Dad and tell him to come over. He needs
Oh,
to
if
know
she
you're
says
okay as
no,
soon as possible.
if she says no, something's
Actually,
up.
It would be better for you to do it. I don't want to give him a heart attack.
Good point. I admitted. We kinda got rid of most of the furniture, but make yourself comfortable. I'll call him and join you.
Don't take long.
She
Oh,
said, and went inside.
Did
to
you hear
find somewhere
that?
to sit.
Did you hear that?
I watched her
I'm
walk down
telling
the
you,
corridor
that's a
towards
beast.
The kitchen, pausing
He's
by
gonna
the
have to
basement
kill the
door.
monster.
She looked at it for a long moment, then she continued on her way. I pulled out my
Oh,
phone
no,
and
no,
Marcus's
no.
card, unsure about what to do. The
Tell
thing's
Marcus
facade
you have
was
to let
good,
you have to
damn
let
near
Marcus
perfect,
know.
but as it spoke those last words, its voice cracked just a little.
It's the beast, it's the beast, it's the beast, it's the beast, it's the beast. Oh god. Get
A
Marcus!
lot, and
Get
yet
Marcus.
so very little has happened since the last time I posted. I'm more confused and paranoid than ever. I feel like I'm taking 10 steps back for every step I take forward. The situation is slowly devolving into a variable mess, and I'm thoroughly entangled in the web of deceit that I admittedly contributed to creating. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, so I'll
The
pick up
beast
where I
took
left
him
off.
over.
I ended up calling Marcus first, and he answered almost right away.
Hello, this is Detective Marcus. How may I help you?
It's me, Clancy.
Oh, hey, Clancy. How's it going? Did you make up your mind?
I peeked inside the house before I answered, but I couldn't see Sarah. She was in the kitchen.
Don't
By the
trust the
sound of
beast to
pots
not be
being
watching
opened,
you.
I figured she was raiding the cupboards.
Never
for something to
trust,
eat.
never trust the
Sarah
beast.
came back
What? How? When?
just now, but I think it's the mimic. There's something off about her,
Okay,
Marcus said and took a deep breath.
stay calm. I'm here for you. Is she there right now? Are you keeping tabs on her?
She's in the kitchen. I'm outside on the porch.
She's poisoning the
Good.
food.
Don't lose sight of her.
Poisoning the
Everyone else know
food.
that she's back. Did you call your parents?
Not yet, I answered. I panic called you for help.
Okay. You made the right decision.
Marcus.
Yeah, it
assured
is the
me.
right decision.
I knew I was onto something with you.
What do I do now? Do I go in there and...
No,
Marcus yelped.
don't do anything brash, okay? Don't confront her until you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's the mimic. I'm a few hundred miles away on another case.
What?
So the fastest I can make it there is a few days from now.
I wasn't planning to. Don't worry. I'm not stupid.
Just keep tabs on her.
She's a
If it comes up
beast.
and I need anything, let me know. I'll rely on you to keep me informed. Can I do that?
Of course. I answered.
You're a good
Dude,
kid.
don't trust the
Marcus
beast,
said,
man.
almost making me laugh. I'm 20 for crying out loud.
You have a good head on your shoulders, so I trust your judgment. If the situation gets dicey, or you feel you're in danger, don't hesitate to run away.
Will do.
I'll try to wrap up this case as fast as possible. Hold out until then. Try
Yeah,
to
hold
keep her
out, hold out.
isolated if you can. It'll be less of a headache to clean up everything if she ends up being the mimic.
That's gonna be pretty hard, I admitted. She already asked to talk to Dad.
You'll figure something out. I'm sure of it. Gotta go now, but we'll keep in touch.
Alright.
I ended the call and peeked inside
We're on
the
a good
house again.
path. We're on a good
The
path.
rustling had stopped. Sarah? I called out hesitantly.
I didn't disappear again. Don't worry.
She answered with a chuckle.
I'm brewing some coffee. Do you want a cup?
Sure.
Did Dad answer?
He, I fumbled for words. No, He left for the Grand Canyon. I just remembered. He said he needed some time away, so he didn't take his phone with him.
Oh. Well, in that case, come in.
I wasn't sure if she believed me or not. She
yeah.
likely had her doubts, but until she'd confront me about them, I decided to take my small victory.
Yeah.
Be right over, I answered.
Not
I was
trusting a
thankful for the short
beast.
reprieve, but I still needed to do something. So, instead of trying to call Dad and risk exposing my lie, I shot him a text. Hey,
Ooh.
Dad, the detective called. He wants to examine the house again. So he said you should steer clear of it for a few days. I'll call
Ooh,
you
that's
tomorrow.
smart.
Good night.
That's
Dad
so
texted me
smart.
back almost right away.
But then delete the text
Okay.
messages.
Want me to come over in the morning and pick you up?
No, I'll be staying here to help him out.
Okay. Talk to you tomorrow then. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah,
Love you
monster
guys.
hunters, they
With
all
that,
know
I
to keep
stashed my
it
phone
secret.
away and made my way to the kitchen. Sarah was by the stove, boiling a pot of water. I observed her for a few moments, but I couldn't see anything out of the ordinary about her.
Are we in the deep slate?
Do I have
No
something
way.
on...
She mumbled when she noticed me staring, pulling at her shirt to check on it. No, it's just, I'm glad you're okay, that's all. She gave me a soft smile and turned to dump a pack of coffee grounds into the pot. I couldn't remember her ever being this cheery and warm, especially
beast.
towards me. But then again, her change of attitude could be explained by what she'd been through.
Wait,
So,
what is he talking
I
about?
filed it under potential red flags, but decided to hold my judgment for the time being.
He's holding his
sugar.
judgment.
She asked as she poured us each a cup. 2 cubes is enough.
Why would a
She dropped
beast
2 cubes into the murky
be
liquid, handed me the
waiting
cup,
on the
and
kill?
sat at the table opposite of me.
Hmm,
We
why would a
sipped the
beast
bitter
be waiting
insomnia
on the
for a
kill?
few minutes,
Nothing
both
is going to be
unsure
inside
of
this
where to
mountain.
take the conversation.
We have to dig
When it became
deeper.
apparent that she wouldn't talk, I took charge of the situation and did so myself. So, long and crazy story?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I'm all ears.
Yeah, listen to
Okay.
the story.
So, the gist of it is that I kinda went stir crazy. Not sure why, but I did. I started hearing voices calling out to me. Thought the house is haunted, and I ran off.
I took in what she said, hanging on every word. Sarah hid a lot from me in that confession, and I wasn't sure what to believe or do.
Don't
Should I
trust
confront her?
this.
Bring up
Don't
the
trust
recordings?
the
The
beast.
creature in the basement that she tried to burn alive? That sounds rough, I said instead, deciding to play along. My hope was that if she didn't know I was onto her, she wouldn't try to harm me or run away again. I could only speculate about the mimic's goals, but if it wanted to take over Sarah's life and masquerade as her, I needed to keep the illusion intact for as long as possible. The potential mind reading it might have been capable of threw a wrench in that plan, though. So the only thing I could do about it was to pray she wouldn't try it.
Yeah,
She agreed.
the last few months were a little, well, completely shit, to be honest. But I'm doing better now, and I'll start looking for a therapist soon.
It sounds like a plan to me. We took a few more sips from our cups, but something seemed to bother her. She
Sounds like a
stared at
plan.
the coffee intently, her brows furrowing as if she debated internally over something.
You said that you buried me, that you thought I was dead. What's that all about? Did you declare me missing or something? Was it an empty casket?
Another thing I needed to lie about, and possibly another
Ooh.
attempt at deceit on her part. I made note of it
Ooh.
as I thought of an answer, filing it away with the rest of the evidence that was building up. No, someone burned alive in your apartment. Some neighbors called the firefighters. They put it out, and we thought it was you. So the authorities declared you dead, and we buried the body.
Fuck me. That's gonna be hard to explain and overturn.
Well, who burned, though? I prodded, trying to see if she'd confess to anything.
I don't
Ooh.
know, some squatter maybe? I don't want to badmouth my neighbors, but one of them might have broken in if they noticed I was gone. We have to call the cops tomorrow and let them know.
We'll see. It might be a better idea to hold off on that for a few days, I said absent-mindedly.
What? Why?
She burst out.
If they think I'm dead, we should let them know as soon as possible.
I needed to think of something
Ooh.
fast, and her haste
Ooh.
gave me an
Uh-oh.
idea. Yeah, you're right. I answered. I'm just tired and thinking stupid shit out loud. Don't mind me. I have the number of the detective that handled the case. We can call him right now if you want. Sarah eyed me with distrust for a moment, but it faded as quickly as it
Why would she
appeared.
distrust? It's a
She
beast.
reached out a hand over the table, wiggling her fingers.
Dial him and give me the phone.
She demanded. I did as she asked, pulling out the phone and dialing Marcus's number. She snatched it out of my hands.
Oh, well, if she knows he's a beast
I was
hunter.
hoping he'd catch on and play along. It rang a few times before he answered.
Hey, Clancy, what's up? Did anything...
It's not Clancy. It's Sarah.
Marcus dropped the phone, and we heard the clattering as it hit the ground. He let out a few quiet curses as he picked it back up.
Sorry, Miss Sarah. You really took me by surprise. I'm Detective Marcus. I was tasked with investigating your, well, death.
I know, Detective. Clancy told me about you. That's why I wanted to call you right away and let you know I'm alive.
That is amazing news. I'm glad to hear you're fine and it's all been a misunderstanding.
Thank you. So,
Oh, I'm getting...
averting
Oh,
your illness.
chills. I'm
Where
getting
do I need to go?
chills.
Who do I need to call?
Well, Miss Sarah, it's a convoluted process, made no simpler by the fact that a body was found in your house. I'm away on another case for a few days, but I suggest you wait until I return. Don't contact the authorities until we consult a lawyer. They might flip the case into manslaughter, try to pin you as a primary suspect.
Sarah looked up from the
smart.
phone and shot me a confused glare. Marcus had more or less told her the same thing I had. I wanted to sigh of relief at his quick thinking,
He's
but
smart,
I
man.
abstained.
But what's
He
with
couldn't
Sarah?
suspect we were working together.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. I'll be waiting for you.
Everyone knows you're a
She
beast.
said in a defeated tone.
No problem. Stay inside for a few days. Don't travel.
Oh god, don't die.
Try to put together a statement of what happened. We need as many details as possible to make your case.
Will do.
Marcus bid us goodnight and ended the call. Sarah tossed me my phone back, placed her half-empty mug on the table, and moved to get up. Where to? I asked.
I'm going to bed. I'm dreaming. Where's my phone, by the way?
I don't know. It probably got lost in the shuffle when me and Dad cleared out the house. I lied. The fact that she asked for it unnerved me, however. It made me suspect that she wanted to cover the tracks and delete the recordings, so I couldn't let her know that Marcus had it.
Bummer. I wanted to watch a show or something.
She lamented.
Anyways, I'll be going. Feel free to join me
Never
whenever.
trust no
No
beast.
worries.
I don't
I'll
trust
sleep
no
on the
beast.
couch.
Suit yourself.
She said with a chuckle and left the kitchen. I waited for a few minutes, listening to her enter her bedroom and changing. Her
What am I
reactions
doing?
up to that point didn't seem abnormal by any means. They were all perfectly reasonable, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was out of place.
Something's
That
wrong.
sensation, coupled with the fact that she'd lied to my face, made me suspect that she had more to
Ah,
hide.
that's what we're doing right now.
That was a close
Cobblestone
call.
Bridge.
I texted Marcus.
You're alone right now.
Yeah, she went to bed.
Okay. You have to figure out if she's a mimic or not before I return. We'll have to make our move.
I'll try.
How do you
It was nearly
prove
10 in
something
the
like
evening
that?
by that point.
These beasts
But I
are
didn't feel
smart.
tired enough to sleep yet. So instead, I went online and did
Do
some
mimics
research.
know everything?
I found a lot of stuff about a slew of creatures that sort of fit the profile of what I was facing, but none of it lined up perfectly. I couldn't rely on those reports, so I decided to share my own story in hopes of finding out more. Maybe people with similar accounts would come crawling out of the woodwork if I spurred them on. I turned off the lights, sat back down in the chair, and typed away on my phone. The night progressed as I did my best to capture my experiences in writing, and soon enough, I was absorbed by the recounting. Usually, I'm not a speedy writer. I take longer than average even on short texts, but my curiosity and need for answers fueled me like never before. I was almost done when I felt a hand coming down on my
Oh,
shoulder.
jeez.
What are you writing there?
Sarah asked from behind.
Oh, that's
I fumbled
terrifying.
with the phone, nearly dropping it. She gave me a good scare, and I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins
That
as
is
my
so-
pulse rose.
You have to be, you're back up
Sarah
against the
squeezed
wall,
my
dude.
shoulder
Number one
tighter
rule of
as she
Monster
laughed at my
Hunter.
clumsiness, and I quickly backed out of the app.
Porn. It's porn. It's
I
porn. It's
faked a
porn.
sigh as if she caught me red-handed with something embarrassing. I'm sexting with someone,
Ooh, yeah.
Sarah answered.
Keep it in your pants in my house, will you?
She went around the table and sat down, not bothering to turn on the lights. That left the room in almost complete darkness, with only faint rays casting in from the street lamps outside. I could make out the contour of her
Should've
body,
said that you're
but
writing
any sort
fan
of
fiction.
details were obscured. What are you doing up so late? I thought you went to sleep. She picked up the coffee mug and took a loud sip. Her eyes had an almost surreal glow to them, and I felt them boring into me in a way completely different from before. There was malice behind them as she measured me up.
Nightmares.
She answered, setting down the mug and rubbing her eyes.
Couldn't sleep anymore, so I got up. What about you?
I couldn't sleep either. I tried to
This
meet
is
her gaze with
possible.
my
It's
own
not a
to
beast.
confirm what I'd seen and felt, but she averted eye contact. That made my paranoia rise as my whole body tensed, but I tried to keep calm. We had some more small talk about this or that, nothing of substance, and I could feel her eyes on me again whenever I looked away. It drove me up the wall to feel that calculated coldness.
I'm digging straight
like I
down.
was facing an ambushed predator thirsty for my blood.
Can I bum a cig?
She asked. I threw her the pack and the lighter, and she pulled out a cigarette. The small flame illuminated her face as she lit it, and her skin looked deathly pale. When she passed the pack back to me, I smoked one as well to calm my nerves. No more words were exchanged. We just sat there in each other's smoke, exchanging quick glances. I checked my phone, finding it was nearly 4 a.m. by that point, something that the buzzing between my thoughts confirmed. It was getting late, and I was too tired to think straight.
Oh no,
But
no, no,
I
no.
couldn't
You
risk
can't
going to
fall asleep.
either.
You
Not
can't
when
fall
I was
asleep.
unsure about Sarah's intentions. For all I knew, that was exactly what she waited for. She finished the first cigarette, then asked for another one, and another one, chain smoking half of my pack in about an hour. I pulled out my phone, checking the post in a last desperate attempt to focus and stay awake.
Did she answer?
Sarah asked when the blue light hit my eyes. Who?
The girl you were sexting.
She said with a snort.
Or the guy. I don't discriminate.
She blew me off. I mumbled. Sarah
What?
chuckled dryly.
Oof. Bad luck with the ladies?
Yeah. I kept lying.
The beast
I can set you up with one of my
knows.
friends if you want. A girl named Amy. She's an absolute sweetheart, but she struggles with dating too. She can be a bit awkward at times.
The mention of that name made me perk up. I know that Marcus said to keep Sarah isolated from everyone, but Amy had also heard the recordings, and she could have been useful to me in this endeavor. She knew Sarah better
I don't
than me,
know. I
so
don't know.
If I could convince her, if I could get her
That's
on
a
board,
risky
she had a
play.
good
That's
chance
a
of
risky
recognizing the
play.
mimic. Sure thing, I answered, letting a bit of my enthusiasm slip through.
Okay, well, I'll call her over tomorrow.
She got up, walked over to me, and grabbed my arm.
Now, go get some shut-eye. You can't be looking like a zombie. She has some standards.
Tomorrow, I protested. I wanted to meet Amy as soon as possible, sure, but Sarah's haste surprised me.
It's a beast. It's a
No
beast
offense, but
that
you're
you're
kinda
talking
boring,
to.
and I could use her company.
Ouch, offense 100% taken. I answered with a timid laugh. But it's okay, I get it. I'm not exactly Mr. Exciting in the flesh. I got up and went over to the couch, with Sarah on my heels the entire way. She had brought out a pillow and blanket for me before she found me awake and riding in the kitchen, which was a sweet gesture. But the effect it had on me was quite the opposite, serving to fuel my paranoia even further.
Nothing but a
Back
beast's
and forth between
kindness.
her words and actions, her being kind one moment and cold the next, it felt like a deliberate attempt to confuse me. Was she playing some sort of mind games? Was she even aware she was doing it? Was I losing it and seeing signs where there were none? It's probably the last one, I decided as I unfurled the blanket and made myself comfortable on the couch.
No, you have
I'm
to stay
tired
up.
and not thinking straight,
I'll try to get some more sleep too.
Sarah said before she headed for her room.
Barricade your room before you go to
When
bed.
her door closed, I pulled out my phone and set an unlock password just in case. Then I set it to record audio and left it on the cracked table as I drifted off. Sleep came fast, and it was a deep, dreamless blip that seemed to go by instantly.
No, 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 no.
I woke up only a few hours later to the light of the morning sun reflecting off the table into my closed eyes.
Oh, he's alive.
Sarah was already up and about, preparing breakfast in the kitchen, judging by the sounds and smells reaching me. Morning, I mumbled as I entered.
Up already?
Sarah asked, turning away from a sizzling frying pan to face me.
You barely got any sleep.
I'm fine, don't worry. I took a seat at the table, and she served me eggs and bacon. As I ate, she took my phone and called Amy to invite her over for lunch. Amy accepted right away, so they ended the call after a bit more small talk that I couldn't focus on. You didn't mention me, I jabbed as she handed me the phone back. I thought this was supposed to be a date, Sarah smirked.
All in due time. You can ask her out yourself if you two hit it off. And by the way, can you go out for groceries before she comes? You didn't exactly keep the fridge stocked. We barely have anything.
I grunted, but she
Why would
wasn't
you
wrong.
keep a fridge stocked for
Besides
a
some beer
dead
and the
person?
eggs and bacon that we ate, the thing was barren. So I got ready to run an errand to the closest shop while she cleaned up.
And hurry up. You'll have to take a shower too.
I left the house post-haste, putting on my earbuds and starting the recording from last night. It was only my light snoring for the most part, so I put it on fast forward.
Yeah.
Nothing in it jumped out to me, no skittering or talking, so I paused when I reached the store. It's a small family-owned business, so besides the old lady manning the register and myself, there were few other souls in sight. I got my stuff, had some small talk with her while I paid, and I was off again. By the time I made it back home, I was about halfway into the recording with nothing to show for it. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. A stray thought shot through my head. I mean, monster hunters and mimics and all that. I put the groceries away and went to take that shower. The water was scalding, but I pushed my body under it and allowed it to melt my worries away. I'd solve the case and everything would be fine and dandy, no doubt about it. If Marcus trusted me, if he saw something in me, I couldn't sell myself short. Amy arrived sooner than I expected, right as I was drying off and getting dressed. I came into the living room to find her and Sarah at the table.
Amy, this is Clancy, my younger brother. Clancy, this is Amy, my best friend.
Sarah did the introductions.
Nice to meet you.
Amy said, getting up to shake my hand. She was a few years my senior, but she was cute, I'll admit. Definitely out of my league, though, so I can't imagine how Sarah thought she'd date me. Same, I answered.
I'll go make us coffee and some snacks.
Sarah said.
Be right back.
As she passed me, she elbowed me in the ribs
here
and
we
winked.
go.
I let out a chuckle and sat down opposite of Amy.
So,
She mumbled when Sarah was gone. Yeah.
What?
Sarah was right. We were like two fish out of water. Two very awkward fish that didn't know how to get a conversation going, which was bad news for me. After all, I couldn't steer a non-existent conversation into the desired direction, so I needed to do something about it.
We both know Sarah's dead. There's a fake monster.
Did Sarah tell you about what's going on in her life lately? I asked, getting straight to the point. A bit blunt on my part, I know, but we had a little time until she returned. Amy raised an eyebrow at my directness.
she said she's having some mental problems, yeah?
She showed you the recordings, right? At that, Amy frowned.
Did she show them to you as well?
No, a detective did.
A detective?
She asked, her words filled with confusion.
No.
Look, what I'm about to say
He's
is
not
so
doing this
crazy, but
right. He's not
listen
doing this
until the
right.
end.
He's not
We
doing
might
this
need your
right.
help,
Go ahead.
Amy said and waved a hand through the air.
He's not
Okay,
doing it
so
right.
Sarah made those recordings because she heard a voice in the basement, right?
Look,
Amy interrupted me despite what I asked of her.
that was Sarah. It wasn't some monster or ghost. She made those voices herself.
But
I caught her in the act, okay?
Amy insisted, and the look in her eyes turned sharp.
She came over to my place for help when she couldn't take it anymore, and I heard her myself. She sleepwalked and talked in different voices, having conversations back and forth with herself. It's not some monster. Your sister had a mental breakdown and made up the whole thing.
We found
My
a dead body
sister,
in the
she-
basement, I retorted, which shook Amy. I could
Aye,
see
aye,
as
aye.
much by
Aye,
how
aye.
her
Hey, stop,
expression
stop, stop.
changed. Sarah didn't show you all of the recordings. She made 17 in total. In the last one, she set fire to whatever was in the basement.
She what?
Amy whispered aggressively. Yeah, we found the body and we thought it was her. I continued. We buried
Oh,
it.
we almost
She's
died.
legally dead and 6 feet under. The look in Amy's eyes turned into pure terror. She glared past me at the kitchen, where Sarah merrily went about preparing us
No,
lunch.
wait.
She didn't tell me about that. Did she kill someone?
Not someone, I pressed. Something. Me and the detective believe it was a monster, a mimic of sorts, and it might have taken Sarah's place.
Stop with the bullshit already. It wasn't a monster, okay? Worst case scenario, your sister committed murder.
Worst
The door
case.
was locked at all times. There was no other way in or out of the basement. Police officers checked it
You're
twice
gonna
and
get
didn't
messed
find
up,
anyone,
dude.
and
You're
Sarah
not
locked
talking to
the
the
door
right
as soon as
lady.
they were out. How
It's
the heck
done.
did
It's
someone get in
done.
there?
Amy's
You
gonna
weren't
spill
asleep,
it.
were you?
Amy's gonna
All you
spill
have to
it.
go by are recordings, and Sarah is mentally unstable. Unless you saw it with your own eyes, how do you know that she latched the locks? That she didn't lie on the recording?
Fuck me, I thought. That was a good point. Well, I mumbled. The wind in my sails as good as gone.
Coffee's done. What are you two mumbling about?
Sarah asked from the kitchen.
Nothing.
Sounds like quite the intense nothing. Can you come
Uh-oh.
over and give me a hand before you two jump on each other?
Amy got up, but she stopped next to me and placed a hand on my arm.
Drop it about the recordings, okay? We'll talk more later when Sarah's not around, but don't mention them around her. It took me 2 weeks to calm her down. There's no monster. Your sister is sick and needs perfection.
No monster.
I didn't say anything else, realizing that it would be in vain. Amy seemed like she'd already made up her mind on the matter,
Yeah.
so she wouldn't be of much help.
Exactly.
I was back to square one, more or less. But what little information she did share could have been useful. I just needed to figure out how it fit into the bigger picture and the theories that were developing. Did Sarah talk in different voices at Amy's place because she was the mimic, or was she truly having mental problems?
Ooh. I didn't even
if
think of
was the
that.
case, it couldn't explain how she reproduced Dad's voice or my own so flawlessly. No, the mimic was real. That much I knew for sure. I'd heard the recordings with my own ears. The only question I needed to answer was if it was dead or not, and all the mounting evidence pointed towards not. The two returned from the kitchen with coffee. and
Yeah, don't
promised
forget the
snacks.
evidence just because there's a
Sarah looked at
doubter.
me with a wide grin. Amy, in the meantime, gave me the best stink eye I've received to date. Sarah started telling her of the few shared memories we had, but I could see that neither one of us focused on the story she spun. I'm gonna go out and have a smoke, I interrupted Sarah.
You can smoke indoors. It's fine.
Nah, I need some fresh air anyways. Sarah protested some more, but I got up and headed for the back porch. It was farther away, so they wouldn't hear or see me. I lit up a cigarette as soon as I was out and retrieved my phone, intending to call Marcus and update him, but I paused when I saw last night's recording still on the screen. Something about it wasn't right. I slept for about 4 hours at most, but the recording was only 2 hours long. The phone was on the table, so I couldn't have turned it off by accident in my sleep, and I forgot to turn it off when I woke up. Cliche as it will sound, I felt the blood in my veins freeze as I skipped through it until I reached the end. The door opened in the background, and footsteps slowly approached the microphone. They circled the room a few times, stopping near me as I snored softly in the background. Nothing happened for a few minutes. Then, the phone was picked up off the table, presumably by Sarah. Her breathing was audible for a few moments, and the recording stopped abruptly. I peeked inside, feeling the terror and paranoia mounting.
No,
talking and laughing.
Oh no,
Marcus
no,
needed to
no,
know
no,
about
no.
this, and I knew
Oh
guidance
no,
on how
no,
to
no,
proceed,
no,
But
no.
he wouldn't pick up. So I opened my messages and navigated
Oh,
to our
no, no.
conversation. Yet, to my horror, I found it blank.
Oh, no,
I
no,
backed away
no,
from the
no.
house slowly, deciding not to wait around and see what would follow.
No,
Sarah's
no, no.
backyard wasn't big, and it was separated from her neighbors by a measly picket fence, easy to jump over for a hasty getaway, since I wasn't able to get through the house
Oh,
and risk
no
being seen.
way.
Luckily, her neighbor didn't have any dogs.
That's
and
too
didn't even
much.
appear to be home, actually. So I ran through their yard and emerged on another street. With no destination in mind, I wandered the town for a while as I planned my next move. First things first, I needed to contact Marcus, but he wouldn't answer his phone. I tried calling him over 20 times, only to be met by his voicemail.
You've called Detective Marcus. If I didn't answer, I'm either busy with work, I'm sleeping, or I'm dead. Leave a message after the beep, and I'll call you
no.
back either when I'm done with work, when I wake up, or when I'm resurrected.
Oh,
Hey,
no,
Marcus,
he's
it's me,
dead. He
Clancy.
died. If
Sarah's
he's
onto us.
dead.
She's 100% the mimic. I ran away. Call me back as soon
Oh,
as you can.
no.
And just to be sure, I sent him a text as well. Sarah's onto us. Call me back ASAP. With
Oh,
that taken
no.
care of, I needed to decide where to hide. I still lived with my parents, and their house was obviously out of the question. It would have been the first place Sarah checked for me. Without a place of my own, and with a few friends that also still lived with their parents or in
Wait,
college
I
dorms,
didn't bring any
my
food with
options
me.
were down to nothing.
We need to head
No
back.
choice. Gotta take my chances at home. I decided. I did tell her that Dad was away, so maybe my lie would buy me a bit of time. It was also across town, so
Oh,
at the
no.
very least, it would put some distance between me and her. I reached it half an hour later on foot and tried to call Dad, but he wouldn't pick up either. Straight to voicemail. Same with Mom.
You have to finish
He
off the
usually answered
creature.
her phone, even at work.
You have to
I
finish off
banged
the
on their door,
creature.
tried calling both their phones again and again, all to no avail. Fine, I'll let myself in then. We had one of those fake, hollowed-out garden rocks where we kept an extra set of keys, but lifting it up, I found the spares missing.
Uh-oh.
We never misplaced those keys. Dad was very insistent about it. I felt another pang of panic, and my thoughts instantly went to Sarah. Did she anticipate this scenario? Did she steal the keys? No, it can't be. I had her under watch ever since she came back. Unless...
No, she went
the
before.
recording she'd stopped. Was it for this? So she could leave her house, run across town, and take the keys? She definitely would have had enough time until I woke up. But no, that made no sense. If she did that, if she had gotten so close to Dad, she would have made her presence known to him. Amy, maybe? That didn't make much sense either. Amy was
Oh,
probably a
no,
victim of the
no, no.
charade, not an accomplice.
Charade.
No, I have to dial back the paranoia. Someone simply used them and forgot to put them back.
Oh.
My phone started ringing, but it
It's
was an
Sarah.
unknown number.
Oh.
I was tempted to answer.
Answer.
thinking it might have been Marcus.
You should
but I
answer.
didn't. It rang until it was directed to voicemail. So I waited with bated breath to see if the person would leave a message.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
No
idea.
dice. A text popped up on my screen soon after.
Hey, it's Amy. Where are you? Sarah's worried.
Speak of the devil.
Oh,
None
it's
with no one
Amy.
in particular. I didn't respond to them, of course, and fortunately, they didn't try again. So I waited on the porch for either Mom or Dad to come home and let me in, trying to decide what lies to
Don't
spin
wait.
for
You
them.
can't wait.
A few minutes turned into half an hour, then into an hour, then into 2, but neither one arrived. I checked my
Yeah.
phone. 5 p.m.
That ain't
Any
gonna
minute
work.
now. I
No,
kept
it
trying
ain't
to
gonna
reach
work.
Marcus in the meantime. I think I made 50 calls at the very least, but none of them went through. 6 p.m. came and went, then 7, and my parents showed no signs of returning. That, of course, only served to exacerbate my distress. Something was wrong. Very,
Yeah.
very wrong. With 8 p.m. around the corner, and no one answering their goddamn phones, I decided to break into my own house. I smashed one of the small windows on the front door with the fake rock, unlocked it from the inside, and made my way in. Half of me expected to find my parents waiting in the dark, or worse yet, as 2-day-old corpses, but the house was empty. The rest of
Wow.
the evening was spent in silence and dread, with me looking out the window every other minute, expecting Sarah and Amy to come knocking, which they didn't. I locked up everything I could and went to the garage to get something to patch up the broken window. It was a nice diversion from my worries. I always found that keeping busy helped me. As I was nailing a plank over the gap, my phone dinged.
Can't call. Driving back right now.
Whew, he's alive. He's
Case to
alive.
Another hunter. Hold out until tomorrow. I'm almost there. We'll
Whew,
probably arrive
thank
at
God.
sundown.
Thank God he's
Thank
alive.
God, I
Yeah.
thought, feeling a wave of relief
Ow,
washing
ow.
over me.
Let's
as I
not
read the
die,
text.
alright? Let's not die. Let's fight
Marcus
for
would
it.
come to my rescue, and he'd know exactly what to do to sort out the mess. He'd fix everything, and I could go on with my life. For a few minutes, I nearly melted away, but let me assure you, the calmness I felt was short-lived.
Oh no.
I tried to call my parents again to see why they weren't home yet, despite the late hour, and I heard faint ringtones coming from upstairs. I followed the sounds with shaking steps, hearing it grow louder as I approached the door of their bedroom. It came from inside, and I paused, with my hand on the door's handle for what felt like a short eternity. I couldn't bring myself to go through with it, to throw it open and face the potential horrors inside. Images of the two of them dead, sprawled on their bed as their flesh rotted away, invaded my mind.
Damn.
From my very core. Come on, I urged my body. Move, please. I closed my eyes, and with my breath hitching in my throat, I turned the handle. The door was unlocked, and it opened with loud squeals that resounded throughout the house. I braced myself for the putrid smell I expected would follow, but it didn't come. Stale air with an undertone of cheap laundry detergent wafted out instead, calming my shot nerves. I opened my eyes, finding the room empty. After thanking every deity
gotta
I
get
could
more
think of
food.
for sparing me of gruesome sights, I went inside and started searching. Their phones were on the nightstand beside the bed, displaying all of my missed calls. Sarah got them after all. She was just smart enough not to leave the bodies here. I couldn't sleep much that night, so instead I got a crowbar from the garage and made rounds around the house. I double and
You gotta
triple
hide
checked
somewhere
all of the doors
better.
and windows to make sure they were locked. Then I hunkered down and waited. The coffee machine worked overtime as I pumped my veins full of caffeine and nicotine in an effort to stave off my exhaustion. After nearly 2 weeks of improper sleep, I was starting to feel the effects. It'll all be okay.
Don't fall asleep.
It
Don't
won't
fall
last much
asleep.
longer.
Don't
I
fall
tried to
asleep.
reassure myself. I only need to hold out for tonight and tomorrow. Then Marcus will save my sorry ass and I'll be able to sleep for 3 days straight. That's how I spent most of that night, wide awake in the dark kitchen with the crowbar by my side. I wrote the previous post to keep myself busy, and I jumped at every little sound that came from outside. Midnight came and passed, and I found myself dozing off into short bursts of micro-sleep. Come on, I urged myself. Stay awake, damn it. More sounds came from outside, in the form of passing cars or wandering animals, but I checked them regardless.
Animals.
I ran around between the windows, parting the drapes only enough to see without being seen myself. To my relief, none of the cars that passed were the same, so for the meantime, I wasn't being stalked. By sunrise, around 7 a.m. or so, I finally couldn't take it anymore. I was a wreck in every sense of the word, and fatigue did me in. I'm not sure when or how it happened.
Oh
I
no.
think I just fell off my feet and went to sleep on the floor because I don't remember ever laying down. It was fitful and all around too short.
He's dead.
The
He's
phone's ringing and woke
dead.
me a couple of hours later at around 9 a.m.
He's
I jolted to
dead.
my feet
He's
with my heart pounding
dead.
so hard that I was afraid it would break free of my chest. You probably know the sensation, that distinct panic of being woken suddenly by loud sounds. At any rate, I checked my phone and saw Amy's number. I half wanted to just throw the damn thing against a wall and break it, but I stopped myself. when I
Ooh, what if
realized
she's
it was
calling for
my only
help?
lifeline to Marcus. The call went to voicemail, and I received a text soon after.
Where are you, Clancy?
A steady buzzing burrowed into my brain, nesting between my thoughts. My temples ached from the lack of sleep, and when I tried to rub the hurt away, it spread to the rest of my scalp.
You said you wanted to talk without Sarah around, so Let's meet somewhere. Just the two of us.
Another text from Amy, and one that felt distinctly like a trap.
Yeah, that
I
is a
didn't want to
trap.
respond and risk falling for it, but I reminded myself that Amy could have been a victim as well.
Ah,
Maybe I
no,
still had
no,
time to
no.
change
It's
her
a
mind
trap.
and
It's
get
a
her on my
trap. It's a
side.
trap. It's a
Where?
trap.
I shot a text back.
Wherever you want. Name a place.
That set me a bit at ease. If it was really a trap, she wouldn't have offered to let me pick the
No, if it
location.
was a trap.
I texted her the name of a small diner that served a killer breakfast. And
Ooh,
told her
yeah,
to be
public
there in
place,
an
public
hour.
place.
It
Smart.
gave me enough time to shower and change, and I took it freezing this time. The cold water helped me sober up, even if I couldn't get rid of the throbbing in my brain. I felt a bit more rejuvenated when I was done, so I hit the road, making a small detour to buy a pack of cigarettes. It was that same small shop I mentioned last time, as it was halfway between our houses and close to the diner. Only this time, it was empty, save for the old cashier. A feeling of deep dread shot into me the moment I stepped foot inside. You're being paranoid again, I told myself as I calmed down. Get a grip. It's the lack of sleep. The lady bid me good morning, and we made small talk as I paid for the cigarettes. I went to pull out my wallet
Where's
and
the
rifle through
land?
it for change, but the moment I took my eyes off her, I felt her staring at me. The same tension I got from Sarah setting in so fast and intense that it made me jump back.
Are you okay, dear?
Oh,
The
what
old woman
the?
asked as I bent down to pick up the wallet. Yeah, I'm just tired, ma'am.
Good grief. You sure look the part. You're so young, you should take better care of yourself.
I will, I reassured her. I'm just going through a rough patch, that's all. I got a few bills and coins, placed them on the counter in front of her, and turned to leave.
Have a good day, sweetie.
My ears likely played tricks on me, but
Ooh.
I could swear in that moment that her voice cracked just a little. It sent a chill crawling down my spine.
He's
With a
seeing
spring
it
in my step,
everywhere. He's
sending me into high
insane.
alert as I power walked away. You're imagining things. I
Ooh,
insisted.
that's
You're tired.
that's
Not thinking straight.
crazy. That's
I tried my best to do just
crazy.
that as I headed to the diner, but I failed miserably. The encounter stuck with me, ripping through my mind
That
and
no.
leaving behind more paranoia in its wake. Was Sarah the only mimic? Were there more of them? Why was everyone looking at me as I walked, shooting me glances from the corner of their eyes? Was I acting strange, giving them a reason to, or were they onto me as well? I slapped myself when I realized just how absurd I sounded, and it helped set me straight.
You gotta talk to
even if
Marcus.
Just a little. I
Ground
didn't
yourself.
have any proof of more mimics, no reason whatsoever to believe that it could multiply and spread. A few minutes
Now,
later,
that'd only be
I
the
reached
right thing, I
diner.
think.
It's a dingy little place.
Of course they can
dirty
multiply.
And sticky most of the time, but I always found the places like these served the best damn food. Some tables were set outside, and I saw Amy on her phone at one of them. She wasn't talking to anyone, just browsing the internet by the looks of it. Hey, I greeted, approaching her and sitting down.
Morning.
She answered, locking the phone and placing it on the table, face down.
How's it going?
Not too hot, I won't lie,
No shit.
Amy said with a giggle.
I mean, no offense, but you look like total crap.
I let out an awkward laugh as I rubbed the back of my head, because, ouch, offense taken. yeah, I know. I'm not usually like this, but the last couple of weeks were stressful.
I imagine.
So, where's Sarah?
At home, sleeping. She was awake almost all
monster
night, worrying
spawn.
over where you went, so she's tired out.
Amy answered with a bit of anger in her voice. Did
Hey,
you tell
hey,
her
hey.
we were meeting up?
No, you said you didn't want her to know, and I figured we had enough time to talk. Knowing her, she'll be out cold
Ow.
until noon.
Okay, but thank you for giving me another chance,
Here to help.
Amy said, and her frown melted into a shy smile.
Sarah's a good friend, so if she worries over you, I worry over you.
The conversation veered off after that, but I decided to let it.
Hit the beast.
I needed
Hit
to
the beast.
distract myself, to think of something
Good.
else, even if only for a short while. We talked about our personal lives, like our jobs and studies and whatnot, but I was careful not to share too many details. The
Mm-hmm.
waiter came and took our orders, returning with our
Ooh.
food and drinks in what felt like a blink.
Careful, Jacob.
And the
Careful.
teacher caught us, and I got suspended for a week.
Amy finished telling me about some of her high school misadventures.
But you should have seen Clara's face. It was totally worth it. Probably took her a month to clear the shit off her windshield.
I bet she didn't mess around with you guys after that.
Okay.
I said with a laugh.
You bet she didn't. She avoided us like the plague.
Never really had problems with bullies myself. I was friends with the jocks, and they kept me safe. But I did get into trouble when a teacher caught us smoking behind the gym.
Fuck, I'm
So
dead.
you started early, huh?
Yeah, I was a stupid teen that wanted to be cool.
Oh, shit.
I regret it to this day.
So quit.
Oh, sure, because it's that easy to curb an addiction. I mean, how did I think of that idea myself? It's genius. We laughed it off, and Amy seemed to dig my humor as far as I could tell. She was a bit awkward still, but she was nice overall. I could get used to that, to having her around more often, to be happy, you know? But the worries resurfaced, souring my mood. They reminded me that Sarah was still out there, that I couldn't let my guard down and rest until I took care of things. So I didn't waste any more time and went on the offensive. So, about Sarah, Amy's smile died a fast, pathetic death, and she let out a long sigh.
What about her?
I wanted to discuss her, to convince you.
You can't convince me. Monsters aren't real.
No, I have proof this time. Here, I said and pulled out my phone. I fumbled with it for a few seconds, pulling up the recording. Amy watched me with distrust and pity, as if she was facing a madman. Look, I set up the phone to record audio and...
There we go again.
Amy let out a tired voice.
More recordings.
No, just listen to it, okay? I mumbled, skipping through it to the end. I set it up, and Sarah turned it off while I was asleep. I played it, and Amy actually listened. She was surprised, but I could see that she wasn't convinced.
If anything, that's only more proof that she has mental problems. And no offense, I strongly suspect that you do too. Maybe it runs in your family, and if that's the case, you both need help.
No, it's not that she stopped it. That's not the point, I defended. The phone was face down on the table. What reason would she have to suspect that I was recording? She either did because she's done it as well when she faced the mimic, or she is the mimic, and she learned it from her encounter with the real Sarah.
Or she's crazy.
Amy raised her voice.
She has the same delusions that you do. She's just as paranoid as you.
She also deleted the texts, the conversations I had with Marcus, the detective. I felt like I was on the brink of convincing her, of winning her over, that she only needed the slightest push in the right direction, and I'd have myself an ally.
So...
She started, but I interrupted her. And what about the body, the one we buried?
There wasn't a body.
Amy said.
What?
I went completely silent at that. I was dumbfounded. You could have heard a pin drop
What?
there. Our respective outbursts had garnered us the stares of the other patrons, and I felt their eyes on me. What? I asked in a hushed voice as I looked around.
That's why I wanted to meet up with you and talk. A murder is a pretty heavy accusation to throw around, so after you ran off, I called 911. The words possible murder mobilized them real fast. 2 officers were at my door in less than 5 minutes.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but I knew that I fucked up. Marcus explicitly asked me to keep an eye on Sarah, to keep her isolated, and I failed. The other patrons returned to their own business, but a couple of
you
them
messed up, dude. I told you.
You
shouldn't trust Amy.
Those same cold, calculated glances that Sarah shot me, sending my paranoia into overdrive. Control yourself, I reminded myself. You've made a scene. People are bound to be curious. They're not mimics. They're just worried.
2 cops recognized the house right away.
Amy kept talking, and I had to try very hard to focus on her words.
They were the same ones that checked up on Sarah before when she was having her mental breakdown.
Oh
so
shit, they're chasing me. They're chasing me.
Kill someone. But I explained the situation to them. I brought up your accusations, and they assured me that something like that had never happened.
No, that's wrong. I was there. There when the body was pulled out on a stretcher. There at the funeral. There for all of it. She died. Someone died. I swear on my life. I was so fired up, so absorbed by my rant that I didn't notice myself getting up from the chair and leaning on the table. Amy pulled back from me, with fear evident in her eyes, but to her credit, she composed herself fast.
Oh yeah, look at that creature.
She answered.
Clancy, you had a mental breakdown as well, okay? It wasn't
Hit the
real.
damn thing. Hit
None of
that
it
beast.
was real.
Some of the other patrons moved to get up as soon as she did, likely expecting a scuffle. Amy walked around the table slowly, lifting her
Hit the
hands
beast.
up as
Hit
if
the
to say
beast.
she wasn't a threat.
Look, I know it's hard to hear. I know it's hard to come to terms with the fact that your own mind has been lying to you, but it's the truth. I'm not here to accuse you of anything. I'm not here to get you in trouble.
This
I'm
is
here to
a
help, okay?
this is a
When you need me
bastard
help
of an
you,
area.
We don't need to call the cops or anything. Just come back with me to Sarah's place. We'll talk it out.
Hell
We'll give
no.
you space and let you calm
Hell
down.
no. Marcus
We'll
is
do
only
this on your terms,
trusted
okay?
Marcus.
You'll be in control at all times, and when you feel ready, I'll help you look for professional help.
Hey, hey, hey.
Dad and Mom, I tried a final tactic. Please, you have to believe me. Sarah is the mimic, and she murdered them.
Parents are away on vacation, Clancy.
Amy rebuked me.
To the Grand Canyon.
No, that's a lie. I told Sarah to keep her away from them. I answered, certain that I finally had her. I told her that they left their phones at home, and lo and behold, I find their phones at home. But they didn't go anywhere. It was a lie.
They've been planning this vacation for months. Even I've known about it. Sarah wouldn't shut up about them. She wanted to go too, but couldn't get the time off to work.
No. This is wrong. This is all
Whoa,
wrong.
what
She
is
reached
going
out for me, but I
on?
recoiled. It couldn't be. It was all wrong. It was. I swear. It was my own lie spat back at me as the truth. I felt trapped.
Oh
suffocated,
no.
Like the world itself shrunk around
This is
me and
great.
pinned
I'm
me
getting
into place.
into this one.
It was all wrong. Amy took another step towards me, and I could see the other patrons getting on the move as well. They'd catch me and lock me up in the loony bin. Or worse yet, they'd take me back to Sarah. I couldn't allow it.
Uh-oh.
In that moment, I felt entirely powerless to stop it. Run, I thought. God fucking damn it, run.
Yeah, run.
Without another word, I turned and bolted down the street. I ran faster than I ever ran in my
Yeah,
entire life.
run. Get out of
My
there.
lungs were burning up, and my feet were full
Get
of lead.
to
pulling me
Marcus.
down,
Get
but
to
I ran.
Marcus.
I couldn't stop, couldn't hesitate for even a moment. Not when I felt like the entire world was chasing after me. Why? What did I do to deserve this? Any
They
of
were
this?
all mimics.
I was paranoid, sure, but who wouldn't be in my situation? What I wasn't, though, was crazy.
We need a farm.
I was sane. It was them messing with me, making me doubt my memories.
Uh-oh.
More calls came as I ran home, but I didn't even bother to check the phone. I couldn't stop. When I finally arrived and locked myself inside, I saw they were all from Amy, predictably enough. She made about 10 calls and sent a few texts as well.
Please, Clancy, come back. I don't mean you any harm, I swear. I just want to help you. Think about your parents.
Oh,
Think
that
about
is a
Sarah.
lot of
Hell,
cobblestone
Think
walls.
about yourself.
No, I told myself. I need to wait for Marcus. I need to last
need a
just a little
farm.
while longer. He'll be here any minute now, and he'll sort this shit out. I looked out one of the windows to see if anyone had followed me, but they hadn't. Still, that didn't mean I could stay put until Marcus returned. I was too easy to find. I was a sitting duck. I need to either hide or get on the move. No place to
Where
tuck
to build
myself
a
in came
farm.
to mind, so I'd have to do the latter. I changed my clothes, dressing in some of Dad's old tracksuits and jackets. They were baggier and did a better job of concealing my face. As I did that, I tried to decide where to go and what to do. I couldn't wander the streets aimlessly. I had to stay among people, to blend in with the crowd, and hopefully have a shot at calling out for help if I was found. But my town wasn't very big. We didn't have malls or busy districts. Some bar then, I decided. We had a few of those, and they were rarely empty. So I left the house and headed for the farthest bar I could think of, hoping it would be the last place Sarah and Amy would check. I kept my head down on the way there, trying my damn hardest not to attract attention. When I made it there, half an hour later, I let out a sigh of relief. I went in, found a table in the back of the room, and made myself comfortable. It was one of those
Back
sports
to the
bars,
wall, face to
always
the
displaying
exit.
some game or another, I'm not sure. My mind was in an entirely different place the whole time I was there. The waitress came over after a few minutes, but I didn't notice her until she cleared her throat to get my attention. Oh, I jumped back. Sorry, I A crappy day. Was distracted.
That's okay. Will you have anything?
Sure. Bring me a beer, please.
Any references?
She asked. Whichever one you have, it doesn't really matter. And keep an open tab. I'm waiting for someone, so I'll be here a while.
Okay, I'll be right back.
She wandered off to serve the other patrons, so I got busy with my phone. It finally hit me that it had no password, even though I distinctly remember setting one up.
Oh yeah, what?
Another thing that Sarah did to mess with me? Was my memory really failing? I decided it didn't matter at that moment, so I set a new one and texted
You gotta
Marcus.
get with Marcus, yeah.
You're trying to get me. I'm on the run. Call me when you get in town and we'll meet up. The waitress returned a few minutes later.
But what if
with
Marcus
another
isn't
beer.
real?
Then she was off again. I sipped from it occasionally, but my focus was on my phone, watching seconds turn into minutes with bated breath. The finish line was within reach, and I couldn't wait for the terror and paranoia to be over. I was tired. More episodes of my
Wait, there's no way that Marcus isn't real
but no one
because he
seemed to
like
notice or
physically
even care.
saw and talked to Marcus.
But they left me worried as they caused my attention to falter. About an hour later, around lunch, Marcus finally texted back.
Yes.
Seeing the notification pop up on the screen got my heart pounding faster, chasing away the fatigue for the meantime.
I'm almost there. We'll probably arrive near sundown.
I felt relief washing over me as sundown wasn't far off. I only needed to last for 4 or 5 more hours at most, and I was confident enough that I could do that. I didn't feel watched here, didn't feel observed, so it was safe. All I needed to do was to stay awake, to keep the beers coming, and I wouldn't be kicked out of the bar. So long as I sipped from them slow enough to not get drunk, I'd be fine. Amy tried to contact me again. More calls and texts spread out over the remainder of the day, but I didn't answer. They were mostly the same, variations of, "Where are you?" and "Come back, Sarah's worried." Time flew by, and before I noticed, it was getting dark outside. The sun touched the horizon, draping the world in shades of orange and red. My phone rang again, and to my utter delight, it was Marcus. Bring the tab, please," I said to the waitress before I answered. Hey,"
How's it going? How are you?
Marcus asked right away. Tired and paranoid as hell, but I'll manage."
Good, because I might need you to pull an all-nighter. Help me out.
The waitress brought me the tab, and I did a double take at seeing the price. "Will do. Can't wait for this to be over with," I answered, pulling out $30 and handing them to her. Keep the change."
What was that?
"Nothing. Don't worry about it." I got up from the table and walked towards the exit, re-energized by the hope coursing through me. "Where do you want to meet up?"
Pick a place and I'll be right over. I'm entering your town now.
"Okay, let's..."
Wait a sec. A cop car just got on the road behind me. I think they want me to pull over.
Damn, were you speeding?
Oh no.
We don't have time for a ticket right now.
I wasn't. It's...
Marcus was cut off by a loud crash. It sounded like metal bending and glass shattering. Almost
Oh,
deafening even
no.
through the phone's speaker.
The fuck? They rammed me.
Shit, get away.
I'm trying, but they're after me. They want to run me off the road.
Another crash, this one even louder. Marcus cursed in the background,
No.
and the sound
They're
of
after
tires
him.
screaming on the asphalt followed.
I don't know what's going on. I'll call you back.
There's too many
No, wait.
mimics.
The call ended abruptly, leaving me stunned. What the hell was going on? I left the bar, lit up a cigarette, and paced back and forth in the street.
There were
as
mimics
stress
everywhere.
consumed me.
It's
Marcus was so close. He
it's
was
too
right
gone.
fucking here. He wouldn't fail. He couldn't fail. No, he'd get away, and he'd reach me, and it would be fine. Yeah, he'll be fine. He's a goddamn monster hunter.
yeah,
A couple
true
more minutes
facts.
passed with no sign from him.
They know,
I
dude.
finished
They
the cigarette
know.
fast, but I lit up another one right away. I needed to distract myself, to keep calm, to not let the paranoia sink in. It couldn't get its teeth into me again. I wouldn't allow it. I refreshed my messages constantly, waiting, feeling my breathing
Oh
speeding up.
god.
A notification came, and with it, another text. Reading it felt
Marcus.
like a gut punch. The floodgates broke, and the tide of terror I struggled to keep at bay flooded me. I felt lightheaded and dizzy, shaking on my feet as if the world around me spun out of control. 4 words. 4 goddamn words and an incomplete text.
Run. There's more of them.
I tried to call Marcus a few more times
No
after I received his last
way.
text, but just as I suspected, he didn't answer. He
There's
was either
so
captured
many.
or killed, leaving me on my own. The call still went to voicemail, however, so his phone was still active. Whoever ran him off the road likely took it, and I could use that to my advantage to buy some time. Will do. I'll leave town right away. I'll be walking along the main road in case you can follow me. Hopefully,
No,
that
it's
was
gonna be a
convincing
mimic.
enough red herring, sending them on a wild goose chase that would give me an hour or two to sleep.
Yes.
I desperately needed some of that to clear my mind so I could think straight. Making any decisions, forming any plans in my current condition was a bad idea.
What am I
I
even
was aware
doing?
of that much.
What am I
Seeing
making?
that in the forefront of my mind,
What am I
I
doing?
made my way home. Many people passed me in the streets, and I felt their eyes on me when I wasn't looking their way.
Oh no.
But I remained calm. Sort of. I reminded myself that it was paranoia.
It's
that I was
not. There's
only
more
going mad
than.
from
There's
fatigue
more of
and
them.
stress. Not that all of it was real. Some of it, maybe, but certainly not all. I needed to remain rational to the best of my abilities. I got home without incident. No one followed me, and I found the house still empty and locked up like I'd left it. The current plan was to sleep a bit and then head out of town into the wilderness. I'd set up camp somewhere remote, far away from everyone and everything, and use that time to rest. Dad had some bare-bones camping gear that he used to go fishing, so I could use that. Although it wasn't much, it would have been useful. I found it all stacked away in the garage. So I threw together a hasty bug-out bag to have it ready. A small fishing tent, a flashlight, some matches, and cans of food. But no weapons, since we didn't have any. A firearm would have been really useful, but this will have to do, I thought as I retrieved the crowbar. I didn't plan to use it for hunting or anything, just to defend myself until I made it out of town. With the preparations complete, I barricaded my bedroom by dragging a heavy drawer in front of the door. The window I left unlocked, just in case I needed to make a run for it. My room was on the first floor.
I
so
hope
to
Marcus
jump down wouldn't
lives.
be too bad. Being in an actual bed after the last few days was absolute bliss. I can't describe it.
I would
fell
be
asleep so
freaked
fast
out. I would
almost
not be
didn't get
feeling
to set an
blissful right
alarm to
now.
wake me up around midnight. It went by fast, however, and this time I finally had some dreams. Nightmares. I can't remember much of them, only bits and pieces, something crawling into bed next to me, speaking in my mind, trying to undo the seams of my very soul so it could take a peek inside, getting angry when I resisted, growing more aggressive, tugging at the corners of my brain the more I fought back. I woke up screaming, kicking and punching blindly. My fist connected with something meaty, and I heard a familiar voice letting out a yelp.
What the hell?
Opening my eyes,
Is it
I
Marcus?
found Dad on his ass next
Oh.
to the bed. His lip was split wide open, and Mom was by his side on her knees. I started, but the words got caught in my throat.
That was a pretty intense nightmare you had there.
Dad said with a smile.
I think I'll need stitches.
Looking around the room, I saw that the dresser I had dragged in front of the door was back in its place. The door and the window were open, creating a draft
spruce.
that pulled the cold December air inside. The instinct to just bolt right then and there kicked in, but I subdued it. Where have you guys been? I asked them.
Don't say the Grand
I
Canyon.
decided to question them because maybe, just maybe, the last few days were indeed a hallucination.
To
No.
the Grand Canyon.
Mom
No.
answered and helped Dad to his feet.
You know, on the vacation we planned for, 2 months now?
Dad went to
No,
the bathroom
no,
to patch
no.
up his busted lip.
They're fake.
leaving
They're
me and
fake.
Mom
They're
alone.
fake. Swear to
He looked
God,
back
they're
at me for a
fake
split
as hell. They're
second
so
before he
fake.
closed the door.
Yeah, they're
His
fake. They're
gaze
fake.
filled
They're
with
fake.
Anger and hatred.
Jesus
Sarah's
Christ.
friend, Amy was her name.
Oh,
Anyway, she called the reception of the hotel we
Jesus.
were at
Oh.
and told us everything. So we rushed home to be here for you.
Okay, thank you guys.
Oh
Let's-
no, they're
let's go check on Dad.
imposters. They were
Maybe he needs help.
imposters.
Mom eyed me with suspicion.
Oh
but she got
my
up.
God, this is
And
insane.
don't forget to apologize to him. You clocked him pretty hard.
She added, "Will do." Something
Hey.
stirred in the closet, attracting my attention.
Oh
I
no
looked
no
over,
no.
seeing the darkness inside.
Oh
shifting
no
between
no
the
no no
slits
no
of the
no no
sliding
no no
doors.
no.
A pitch black figure, humanoid shape peered back at me with dimly glowing eyes. "Can we order pizza? I'm starving," I said, walking past Mom to open the door for her.
Sure thing. Maybe an ambulance for your father as well.
"He's a big guy. He'll manage." She walked past me and into the corridor, so I pushed her away and shut the door. The bag was next to the bed along with the crowbar, and I grabbed them before I jumped out the
Yeah,
window.
smart ass
I landed
motherfucker.
outside
Smart
with a
as
crash,
hell.
a heavy thud.
I love this guy,
Frantic
dude. He's so
footsteps came from
smart.
inside the house.
Yes,
I burst into
sir.
a
Yes,
sprint, jumping through
sir.
the neighbor's yard.